Hey, yo, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. How are we doing? Hopefully you can hear me all good. What up, what up, what up, what up? Give me a second here. Everything coming on through okay, is it? Do we have... Yes, we do. We got transcoding options. Jamie, what's going on, fella? You can hear me all good? Nice, nice. Let me just pop something in the pin message here. The latest. Where are we? How's things anyway though, dude? You all good? Well, let me paste that. In that as well. Alright, cool. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Hopefully everybody's doing well. We're going to check out a couple of videos before we get into playing some more Wuthering Waves. I'm going to try and get on some Throne and Liberty as well this evening. The bait has been extended for 24 hours, which is kind of good because I did want to play yesterday, but obviously I didn't stream until the evening, and of course we were pulling for our girl Changli yesterday, which once again, you know, just saying, we're that good at the game. We got her in 22 pulls, skill difference. Just saying, you got to get good, chat. You got to get good. Not too bad. I'm not too bad at all, actually. Had a good session at the gym today. Bit of back. Feeling all right. Feeling all right. Rosie's got the gym tonight as well, so I think my sister's going as well, so that means she should hopefully get picked up and took, which is good. So that means I don't have to, and we can just get on streaming, you know. Bump. Alright then, we're gonna mess around too long, because it is 1 o'clock. Shall we get into checking out some of these videos I wanted to check out? Let's see. This one is definitely going to be the first one we're going to watch, because there's a title there that's definitely pulling me in. I'm done with Wuthering Waves from VXV Fiction. Let's see what he's done with Wuthering Waves then. Am I getting clickbaited here?
I'm done making Wuthering Waves videos. I'm sorry to my fans who only watch me for my Wuthering Waves videos, but please go watch all the rest of my videos. I became emotional damage. Dear Diamonds and fellow Diamonds in the Rough, it is finally that time. We just had our lovely, beautiful, light, shiny, dragon-wielding
C6R5 Changli is very good. Time to top up smile.
Hey, gotcha MC. If you're gonna hook me up with that shit, time to top up indeed, man. Hey.
Dude, Changli base at the moment, level 70, using a crappy sword. Tracy's not leveled up, and she's still kind of slapping, if I'm honest.
Hey, I'll gladly take your money and have me the big old Phoenix bitch all the way up to C6R5. I dare you. We finally had our beautiful, lovely, shiny, bright, dragon-wielding lady, Jinsey. And yes, I gave her that introduction because she was dragon, sue me. And a lot of people decided to skip Jinsey for one character.
Crazy if you did, in my opinion. Jinsey was just an absolute banger. I was going to say slapper, but that would sound terrible. But yeah, banger character in my opinion. And so far, I'm loving it. Just got to say as well, bit of skill difference. You got to get good at the game. 22 pulls, and we got her. So, you know, just saying. Just saying. Don't want to rub it in.
Changli. Now, Changli is massive.
To be fair, though, I failed all my other 50-50s. So, you know, it was about time. It was about freaking time.
Abobas are as massive as her presence in this game. Now, I can't wait to get this character. I don't think a lot of people are able to wait to get this character. I woke up early. I didn't even sleep enough because I was too anxious of how much I couldn't wait to pull for this character. Now, as we all know, in my track record, I got all the limited banner characters, all of them. Now, we have a 50-50 though. I won a bunch.
Actually, so far, actually, yeah. I think that's the first gacha game I've ever actually done that. And I only paid once, and that wasn't even for, I think that was actually, might have been for Gian actually. But it was kind of like in between. I was just being a bit of a well, I want to say a whale. It was 50 quid. But, you know, I just decided to degen into the game.
Bunch of 50-50s in a row. Now, are we going to break the cycle, or are we just going to continue our amazing streak? We're about to find out. But before we do that, let's check out the trailer, man. Let's get hyped up a little. Let's hype us up a little, man.
Like, wait.
So I'm guessing this is just a video of him doing his pulls and stuff. Yeah, I actually thought this was actually going to be a video talking about him not wanting to play Wuthering Waves. So yeah, not too interested in that, if I'm honest. Not too interested. Give me a second here. Let me just change categories. Change categories. All right then. Let's have a look at Book. How gacha games make you toxic. Hex Juice reacts. So we're going to be reacting to Hex reacting to Connor thoughts, I guess. Let's do a little bit of reaction meta then. Reacception, let's go.
Hello, YouTube. We're back on Twitch today. It's been a little while, but I am now off my break. We are going to be watching the most toxic gaming community. This is by a friend of mine, a content creator that I like.
I'm just going to say, if this is talking about gacha games and he's saying it's the most toxic gaming community, just going to hot take straight off the bat. It's not even a hot take. I just don't think gacha gaming is the most toxic community. Of course, there's toxicity like any community. I just don't think it is. Maybe I'm going to be proven wrong here, though.
Like quite a lot. Connor's thoughts. Very interested in what he has to say. Super good thumbnail. But I'm excited to get into it. Let's see what Connor has to say. If you'd like to come join us on Twitch sometime at twitch.tv.
I say if you're going to talk about toxicity within the gacha space, you gotta get a tech tone up there.
/Hex_Juice. I would love to see you over here. You can get a free bodily enhancement of your choice when you come chat with us in our community chat. It'll be so fun. And poggers, you can get a bigger PP or whatever you would like. I know some people don't really want a bigger PP. You've got enough redemptions of that one. But let's go ahead and get into it. And let's see what Connor has to say.
All right, let's get into it. This is a longer video as well, actually, but you know.
There's a gaming niche that has some...
Oh, wait. When did Connor start? Dude, the green screen looks so sick. Wait, I was taken totally off guard.
That's like the new vibe at the moment, isn't it? I've noticed that a lot of people seem to be leaning into that style of, well, in the commentary community, that style of videos now. They're holding the mic, you know. It's not at the desk anymore. It's, you know, green screen, walking around the different scenes kind of thing, interacting with the background. I like it, but I've just noticed there's quite a lot of people doing it now.
Okay. Slay, Connor. Go off. The quality.
People in all of the internet in. And I would know. I'm one of them. And that would be the gacha community. The
Let's go,
community
boys.
Continues to spiral in a cycle of vitriol, big corpo shilling, and of course,
I think probably where a lot of the toxicity and the craziness in the gacha space comes from one, the anime waifus, and two, just the necessity to spend in these games that I think people just spiral a little bit because of the sunk costs bias that comes into it, and then that just, you know, you got to be a little bit deranged anyway to play gacha games and spending gacha games, you know, I hold my hand up. So I think that adds to it. But again, I'm just going to say there are plenty more toxic communities out there. just get into Valorant. Maybe the actual community around it online, I don't know, but just play a little bit, play a bit of CS:GO. Jesus, COD even nowadays is still toxic. Go back in the day, that shit was crazy.
Death threats. And while death threats are nothing new to the internet, it seems almost a little bit worse here. But that might just be because I'm friends with a lot of people in the space and see what they have to deal
So maybe I'm missing something.
with on a regular basis.
True.
We exist in a really weird time here in our little corner of the internet. And
Agreed.
I wanted to do my best to tackle why I think that is and see what we can maybe try and do about it. Is this a futile attempt? Maybe.
Almost.
Definitely. It is 100% a futile attempt. I've watched a few videos just lately talking about toxicity within the gacha space. Personally, I don't really see it so much myself, but that's because I'm a little small creator that really doesn't get much reach. So, and I don't really delve into the community side of gaming that much anyway, especially nowadays. But, yeah, it's totally futile. You're never going to stop it. I've heard some people trying to reach out to the empathetic side of people to try and, you know, be like, just can we not be like this? Let's bring some light to it. It's just, you might as well go and scream into the dark because nothing's going to change.
Certainly.
It's not going to change.
100% futile. But we try anyway. It's our job to yap.
Maybe. It very well could be.
True, Hex, true.
But I'll be damned if I don't give it a shot. So let's talk about why this community is so gosh darn toxic and what we can do about it. So bend over daddy's knee and get ready for a spanking because I'm about to teach you kids a lesson.
No, thank you. That took me completely by surprise. No, thank you. I would love to hear you out, but I do not wish to do all of that. Totally off guard. All right, go off, Connor. What do you got to say?
Before we do that, make sure to drop a like and subscribe too. Hopefully not, because like the spank, it's for the bit.
Subscribe to Connor to be bent over his knee and spanked. He knows you'll really like that. Subscribe to me because I'm awesome and cool and the bestest that ever was.
I guess I'll just say it as well, you know, can sub to me as well because I'm creatively devoid. That's why I'm doing this right now. Hey.
I will not be spanking you, but perhaps I can arrange something between you and Connor as I am friends with him.
Shut the fuck up.
That was a perfect pause and play.
The Tinder.
Now, there are a few components to the gacha space and why
I was so confused because I was like, Tinder? What does an online dating app have to do with this? I'm realizing that he's saying Tinder as in like kindling, the shit that feeds the fire. But I was like, who got caught using Tinder inappropriately?
Sitting around for a political conversation over Thanksgiving dinner. Your political candidate's a walking corpse. Your political candidate is a literal felon. Anybody else hate the elderly? The gacha.
Yeah, and children. Above 45.
Definitely children. Definitely children.
Below 18, hate them all, and probably hate everybody else in the middle as well. I hate equally.
Facts.
Everybody's terrible.
Community is made up of a Venn diagram of 3 different groups. So let's walk through them real quick. Firstly, we have the antisocial and parasocial people. And I'm sure there's
everybody in Twitch chat. Welcome.
Some antisocial people who aren't going to be like being paired up with the parasocial people. But you know what? Screw off. This is my chart. I'm going to group it how I want to. Hoyoverse has been on record.
Dude, I'd say there's a lot of antisocial people that are very parasocial. I think that's where they get their social outlet is online because of how antisocial they are in real life. That's I don't know, that's how they, you know, how it exhibits, how they get that, like, scratch that little itch, so to speak.
Stating that they want to target antisocial people who can't communicate women for their games.
Is that real? They've said that directly in that kind of wording? I did not know that. I mean, like, I knew they did that given the way that they do it, but like, I didn't realize that they said that like that. That's crazy.
People in this category easily attach themselves to characters and things in a parasocial manner. See Exhibit A. People treating video game characters like real people.
I think you just see that. That's a perfect example of how some people treat Twitch streamers, especially girls, and I think as well in the VTuber space. I definitely feel like there's a lot of that there, isn't that sort of parasocial relationship between chat and the streamer. It's kind of wild.
Example of this taking place was with the Honkai Star Rail drama concerning the character of Robin. At least online and Twitter, people in the gay community could not tolerate any kind of straight ships for the character because she was supposedly reserved for the lesbians. People went to fucking war over this. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Dude. it's not, doesn't surprise me, but people are so weird, man.
And now, while I'm not going
it
to lump
was.
everybody in that same category, because I know some gay people who thought it was absolutely ridiculous, it doesn't change the fact that that war took place.
Well, they're just called normal people. You know, it shows that abnormal people can come in any form.
It surely did. That was such an interesting period of time. I definitely was surprised because
Hey,
my take on
Hufflepuff.
all of that was more or less like, I think that your headcanons are cool, headcanons are fun, whatever your perspective.
It's just fan fiction at the end of the day, but you can't, you know, some people love to take their fan fiction and just, you know, push it on the world and like make it canon, as she's talking about headcanon, but actually try and make it canon. And then if it's not, they're going to get mad.
Or how you see the characters is fun, but like you can't really get mad at people for not agreeing with your perspective personally that you choose to see the character through. Like if it's the lens that you've made to see the character through, you can't be mad if someone else is using a different lens. And it was insane in that situation to be told that I was a homophobe. The reality is that it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all. There are very few things that matter less. I will say also that this does not apply specifically in the instance of Changli being my wife. I understand a lot of people like her, know that she is married to me and to me alone. That's not my headcanon. That is the canon of Wuthering Waves. And anybody who disagrees with it is, in fact, homophobic and additionally a bad person who should be taken off of the internet.
It is wild though, even though she's joking about that, some people genuinely get like that. And then, you know, they can't just harbor those insane thoughts in their own head. They've then got to go and like, you know, go out there and actually like push it on people, actually voice it. It's just, that's the thing with the internet, man. It allows the loony bin to really be out in force.
Internet, period. The end.
And just to reiterate, for those of you who still might be confused, as said by people better than me, she's not real.
True dat.
Anyway, this parasocial attachment is not limited to video game characters, but can also be applied to content creators.
Exactly what I was just saying. As soon as you mentioned the antisocial, parasocial relationship, it is wild in the streaming space, especially with female streamers. And I've noticed a lot with VTubers as well. People get so attached to the idea of the character. I think that's why some VTubers are incredibly successful, is because of that parasocial element. It comes across even stronger for some of these loony bins.
Where then these parasocial people start to elevate them to a higher status of being. Once someone has been elevated,
I'm sure all of my chat would agree that I'm a god. Put a 1 in chat if you agree that I am a god with absolutely not a single flaw or imperfection, right? Everybody in my chat would agree. I'm like, Jesus. Anybody who puts a 2, by the way, you're getting shot. Violence upon you. You put anything other than a 1 in this chat. Ban them. Ban them. Get them out of here. I'm a god. I'm perfect. Y'all have to know this.
to this higher status of being, if they do not meet the headcanon of these parasocial people, they will be crucified and canceled on Twitter. You can be sure of that. Now, if the content creator manages to stay in the good books of those parasocial people, they will defend that content creator if...
For real, to the death. To the death. Like, we even saw it with the doc situation. Wild situation. Not going to get into it. But holy shit. Like, even people were trying to defend that. You know, it's just like, is this really the hill you want to die on? And because people become so parasocial with these people, they just can get away with, like, heinous acts. And, you know, in their eyes, no. There's some justification, but there's got to be a reason, man. It's all fake news. It's wild.
Anybody dare step up to them, and they will attack like a starving pit bull that's just wandered into a kid's daycare.
Yeah. I don't
Dude, that video is a classic. Absolute classic.
know if he's going to address this, but the problem is also, if you are someone who specifically panders to that audience, the problem ends up being that they will turn on you for very small shit.
And they'll always turn on you in the end. They'll always, if you harbor that sort of audience, it's like when people genuinely try to harbor toxic audiences. Now, I'm all down for banter. I love a bit of banter between chat, between my comment section, between my viewers over the time. I love it, you know, because that's just how I am. But some people like to harbor toxic followers in sometimes in an effort to, like, you know, send their minions out on others. But you just inevitably they're gonna turn on you. And I've seen so many content creators who have had that happen, and then it's just like, what surprise face, surprise Pikachu face, what's going on? It's like, dude, you know, you like you play with fire, you're gonna get burnt, you're gonna get burnt, and you know, live by the sword, you die by the sword. But people just always think that it's never gonna happen to them. You know, parasocial people can be wildly crazy, and it's okay when you're using that to your own benefit. It can profit, I guess, in the short term, but in the long term, always going to come around to bite you in the ass.
If they follow you because of your positivity toward their like specific parasocial stuff, or like toward their just general lack of criticism for something, you have to be that way forever, or you will be crucified forever. You will be.
You can't break the image, can you? You know, the visage of what you are. Visage, is that the word I'm looking for? Basically, you need to keep up the shtick, because the second you break it or drop it, or God forbid, if you're a female and you go and get a boyfriend, or they find out you've already had a boyfriend, then you're seriously in for it.
Be crucified, and they will never fucking forgive you. You get the benefit of having people defend you, but with the cost that it is very, very, very easy to piss those people off, and like they will turn.
To me, though, that's a benefit that I've never thought that I'd want as a creator. You know, if you make mistakes, at the end of the day, just own it. And if somebody's coming at you, then whatever, you know, if you feel like you need to defend yourself, defend yourself. I've never felt the idea that even if I was ever at a level where I had a massive following, that I'd want that following to, like, become a shield for me. I don't know, it's just kind of weird, man. It's just a little bit weird, you know, that people will spend that much time and effort. And I think at the end of the day that, you know, obviously that's coming from a parasocial element, but it's just like, I don't know, I don't see that as a benefit. I guess, really, it kind of is. But personally, it's just, nah, I wouldn't want to.
Turn on you just as hard as they turn on other people.
Both of these circumstances are an unhealthy attachment to characters or people, and it is not a good place for either party. But now that we understand our parasocials, let's talk about our second group, the gamblers. Now let's call...
Hey, you know, I love a bit of gambling. Obviously, do you know what? I actually don't. I don't gamble at all. The only gambling I guess I really do is I buy the lottery. I'll pay for the lottery now and again. You know, I buy lottery tickets on the Euro Millions, whatever. I think I have been to the dog races once in my life, and I've never gambled other than that. I'm just trying to think if I've ever been to a bookies. Well, I have with friends, but I've never put a bet down. I've never bet on sports. I've never bet on, like, racing, horse racing. I've only ever been to the dogs, and that's because we actually went to the stadium, and it was like, well, you got to put a bet down, you know? You got to put a bet down. But yeah, give me some waifus, and I'm like, dude, I'm feeling that dopamine hit. I am feeling the dopamine hit. Yo, what's going on, Neil? Welcome to the stream. We're now seeing the long-term effects of the internet being too good and a complete, total inability to understand how to use social media properly. Yes, and a lack of social skills because of it. It's one thing you notice now. A lot of young people, well, people my age as well, but a lot of young people really struggle with social interactions, don't they?
Call a spade a spade. Gacha games are gambling. Whether you...
No, don't tell me this.
You're gambling your time by re-rolling accounts or logging in every single day to get every single ounce of currency you can get as a free-to-play player, or as a whale who's walking in there and actually dropping literal dollars on the game to get premium currency to roll on new characters, you are still gambling regardless, with either time...
100%. There's always a cost to a gacha game, because you can be free to play. The cost is then your time and effort. And if you pay money, the cost is obviously money and also your time. And they will try to take up as much.
I suppose technically, I guess you are gambling with your time. But if you're not spending money, technically, because I think the technical definition of gambling is spending money with the idea of, you know, getting a return, right? But that return is obviously not guaranteed at all. So really, it's not really gambling. I guess it's just wasting your time, I suppose, really, isn't it?
Of your money and time as they possibly can. That is just what it is.
Time or money. This group of people is very prone to the cost sunk fallacy, where if somebody dares criticize their game in either...
Yup. I said this a lot when Wuthering Waves came out. Definitely. You know, there's a lot of people on the Genshin side of things that's what it was that sunk cost fallacy, that bias of how much they've spent. They got them frothing at the mouth. Oh, no way, there cannot be another challenger to the throne because I've wasted all the money on waifus. And it's just like, you wasted the money anyway, you know? Even if the game carries on for another 20 years, you've wasted the money. You're going to look back when you're 60 and be like, well, I got all of the waifus, bro. I collected them all.
A constructive or destructive manner, they will do everything they can to protect their investment.
100%.
And you can be damn sure they're going to attack that offender on sight. They do this because they're worried that if their game loses in popularity and spending, that they're going to get the dreaded...
You got this over the years with like games, MMOs and such as well. People who have invested money as well, but invested so much time into these games, the idea of it falling off scares the shit out of them.
EOS, end of service.
Which is such an odd set of people to have to interact with for sure, because their loyalty is like sort of against themselves and against the consumer.
These people, it's not really a loyalty to the brand, it's a loyalty to how much they've invested. Because it is exactly that sunk cost fallacy. It's like the console wars. A lot of people online getting mad, especially of recent times. Let's face it, you know, for a while, especially in the Xbox One period, it wasn't doing very well at all, was it? There was just an absolute, you know, drop in the amount of games that were coming out for Xbox. But you saw so many people getting online, having to defend to the hilt really poor games that were coming out, pivoting from their typical games into games that a lot of these people didn't play to defend the purchase of the box, which was really failing. And it's just such a wild thing to do. I understand it's frustrating whenever you buy anything and it doesn't necessarily work out as a purchase, but that's just, you know, that's being an adult. You move on, you suck it up, and you just, you know, you carry on. It's so weird to see people do that. It's an interesting thing that humans do, isn't it? I understand it. I do understand it to a degree. You know, it makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time because, like, you know, life's too short for all that shit.
When you are in this particular mindset, you are actually simply defending and in favor of a corporation, but it is anti-you and it is anti-consumer, because the reality of these gacha games is that they will actively put in mechanics and actively put in parts of games that make you have less fun. It is a less...
Yep. Predatory mechanics as well. It's the same with the console. Again, going back to the console war, you know, you'll see people arguing about profits, return on investments of these corporations. You see people in the gacha space doing it. Don't get me wrong, I'm always interested to see how much games are making, because at the end of the day, I want a game to do well enough that they continue making a game. If I enjoy it, of course, you want it to do well, you want it to continue making money, so it's an investment priority for the company, and you continue to get the thing you want. But it's so weird to see people, like, jumping around and happy as anything when that some multi-millionaire has made a few extra million. Like, how does that in any way make your life better? Especially if the thing you're arguing for is actively in a state of decay almost, kind of like I said, how the Xbox was and how some of these games are as well, and people just defend it. You know, you're getting nothing from it, but you're spending money and you're just getting somebody else rich, and you just like, it's a hill you're choosing to like fight on. It's so weird.
Satisfying experience if they think that they can procure more of your time or money, or both. They don't care about your satisfaction. They care about you continuing to play the game, and they will input strategies that are more addictive and less
I think they care about your satisfaction to a degree. Obviously, it's a secondary factor. The money's what they care about. But you've got to care enough about the consumer's satisfaction just to give them that little dopamine hit, you know? You've got to, that's why these systems are designed in the way they are designed. It's because they're satisfying, you know, the pull animations, the audio, the way everything works. It's designed to satisfy you. And there's a lot of thought put into that, and they want to do that. But that's just a secondary factor because that makes them money. They care about the money, you know? So there's that little tiny bit they actually care about your satisfaction, but only in a small way. You know, it's like a drug dealer, you know, giving you a little free tester. They care that you enjoy that, but they only care that you come back.
satisfying and less fun and less good to keep you playing the game. If they edge you a lot, but don't ever give you exactly what you want, you just keep playing. They can
Or as I would say, negative edging you.
actually take more from you that way than if they
carrot
actually do,
cancel.
like satisfy what you want from the game. Because when you're satisfied, you're done. If we want to make it about jorking, right? If you're edging and gooning all the time, you're constantly like on, like you want more of it. You don't stop.
She's making a valid point though. But I would say there is satisfaction, because I think if you get no satisfaction, then you won't stay. You know, if you're always on the edge of almost getting that satisfaction, that only lasts for a short amount of time. People need that dopamine hit. And without the satisfaction, you're not going to get that dopamine hit. But it's about giving you just enough satisfaction that you get that dopamine hit, but you're left wanting more.
When you finish, you're done. You're sated. You don't want to continue. So if they ever actually satisfy everything that you want from the game, you're not going to want to continue playing as much. They want you to never be fully satisfied. I don't even remember where I was going with this because that analogy was so off the rails. So I'm just going to let bro keep talking. I apologize.
Service
I have no
is
idea.
a horrific thought for the gambler, because then you're actually faced with the amount that you've wasted on the game, because
True.
now it's just actually gone and there's nothing left. Let me be clear. You've already wasted all of that, but that's usually when the reality finally hits for people.
Right.
But let's not get this mixed up. If you wail on a gacha game, I think you've already lost, personally.
I think people can do what they would like with their money. Do I think that you should wail on gacha games? Absolutely not. You should spend responsibly and never more than like what you have the budget for. And
I agree in principle, but I also disagree that the idea that you shouldn't wail, in my opinion, well, it's spend according to what you have. If you can afford to wail on a video game, have at it. No different than if you can afford to freaking buy 4 or 5 pairs of trainers a week that cost 200 quid. You know, if you can afford to spend $5,000 a week on throwaway stuff, then have at it. If you can buy multiple cars a year and you can afford it, why not? Life's short. If you can have multiple properties around the world and you can afford it, why not? If you can travel the world, why not? You know, there's arguments to how valid those things are. But, you know, all these arguments are from a perceptive point and an opinion. Some people might have more enjoyment out of just spending money on a video game, whereas some people might be like, no, dude, you've got to travel the world. At the end of the day, it's all about someone's personal preference in what they get enjoyment out of. And obviously, if you don't have the money, you should always spend within your means. But I never think that people lose from spending money on a gacha game, on microtransactions in any video game, buying lots of video games. You know, it's no different than going out every night of the week. At the end of the day, you're making memories and you're spending time how you want to spend it. And there's always usually a cost to that sort of stuff. And I think if you want to spend it, you want to spend it. I don't think it's necessarily a negative. It's just about having balance in everything in life, isn't it, really? And making sure you're keeping your mental health good, your health good, and your relationships with the people around you good as well. And as long as you've got enough money to keep a roof over your head, do what you want with your money.
You should never choose the game over having comfort, having your bills paid, having what you need, having food.
Facts. As long as everything else is paid, then, you know, have at it, in my opinion, really. But just be sensible. At the end of the day, just be sensible.
Food, all of that stuff. If you have expendable
same with anything,
income and you would like to do it in a gacha game as a choice for your enjoyment, that is okay.
Yep,
but understand that there is an addictive property to these games. And
It's
you
true.
need to be aware of
They are
why
predatory.
you are spending. And if you are enjoying it, or if you feel like you have to, or you feel like you don't have a choice, or you feel like you have like an addictive itch to continue spending. I think that there are levels.
You know, like, that can be said for, again, she's totally right in what she's saying, but that can be said for, you know, some people get addicted to shopping, don't they? You know, they literally shop for therapy. You know, alcohol's addictive, you know, freaking hell. You've only got to look at America to see the food has its addictive properties as well. Like everything you do in life, there's a balance to it. And too much of anything is bad for you. Even the stuff that's good for you, too much of it is bad for you. It's about finding that balance. And as I said, making sure all your bills are paid, you've got a roof over your head. And if you've got some expendable cash, then just do what makes you happy, man. Never let people tell you what to do.
To that, I think people should have freedom to do what they want. But if you continuously spend and feel like you don't have self-control, you should, you know, stop doing that, right?
Don't get me wrong. I think you should have every right to do what you want on these games. And if you want to go and spend thousands of dollars on anime PNGs and or 3D models that you can run around the world in, you should have every right to. But just because you have a right to doesn't make you correct, and I still think it's a waste.
That's very fair. Just because you have the right to do it does not mean that it is the right thing to do. Very true.
I don't think it's the wrong thing to do, though. You know, obviously we get a little bit too what's it here. It's not the wrong thing to do, though. What is the right way to spend your money? You know, everybody's got a different opinion, haven't they? Some people will say you should invest it. You know, some people will say you should save it. Some people say you should travel the world, have nice food, go to places, make memories. But, you know, what's wrong with making memories in video games? What's wrong with making memories in any way you want to make memories, you know?
True, I agree.
But that brings us to the end of the
I
gamblers
think if you're
and
happy,
to our third
you're not
category
losing.
of people, and that is the Gooner Degenerates. The absolute
Okay, so I think I cross over in two of those. I'm definitely a Gooner degenerate and a gambler within this space. I like the gambler. I do like the gambler. I used to love loot boxes in games like Call of Duty. I did. Never spent big. I kind of just liked the system now. I thought it was cool. It was nice to get that dopamine hit. Don't gamble outside video games at all. But yeah, definitely. Well, I'd say I'm probably antisocial, but I'm definitely not parasocial. And you know, it's nice being antisocial sometimes. I must admit, I like it. I went to the shop today to go get myself a little meal deal, get myself a freaking, you know, chicken and bacon sandwich and a bag of bacon crisps, I think it was, and a bottle of Coke for $3.99. Great deal. And I go to the counter, and the woman's like, "Oh, these are really nice, aren't they?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're all right, yeah." And she's like, "Yeah, I really like them. Oh, a tip, they do the chicken and bacon because they've got an in-store Greg's. They do the chicken and bacon at Greg's, and it's really nice actually. And they obviously it's got the butter and the bacon and the chicken. And I'm sitting there thinking, why the fuck are you telling me this? But the sauce is a little bit, I don't know how to describe it. It's got like almost like a different texture, and I think I'm making it sound worse. And even with my discount though here, it's actually a little bit more expensive because it's a franchise and the Greg's down the road. And I'm standing there thinking, can I just have my fucking change, please? I want to go. I don't want to talk to you. But, you know, I kind of like it. It's nice, you know. And that makes me probably a kind of a shitty person because I guess it's nice to be nice. But it's like there's a woman who keeps talking to me at the gym. And every day when she comes over, I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. I just want to get on with my set, man. Leave me alone.
horny
Put a 1 in chat if you're a Gooner degenerate. And if anybody says anything other than 1, you're a liar. You're a liar, lying liar, pants on fire, you Gooner degenerates.
End of the day, if you're in Twitch chat and you're watching YouTube, you're crossing into that. You're crossing into that, aren't you? And I'm talking to you guys in chat as well. Sorry.
I know who you are. I know what you are. I know what you are, girl. Y'all nasty.
Funniest people I have ever met on the internet have come from the gacha space. And while there's definitely a general crossover with the anime community, it seems like the most degenerate of the anime community ends up trickling their way into gacha games as well. There were fetishes I didn't know existed before I started playing gacha games and engaging.
Okay. See, I probably don't engage with the community enough. I still don't think they're the most toxic community. But let's continue.
In the community. And those are fetishes.
It's nice sometimes to engage with the community side of certain games via other people, you know, vicariously through somebody else. I don't have to get my feet wet, so to speak, but I can do it through somebody else.
That I will say I am worse off knowing. Just please, for the love of God, don't Google the term docking.
I've talked about docking so much in this stream. I wonder if he learned that from me. I want to ask him so bad. I talk about docking a lot on this stream, but that's because like people on Twitter love to dock. Like Atsu docks like a lot. Like he's like one of the most studious dock.
This is how sometimes with gaming culture and stuff, I don't even know what the fuck that is. What the I've got to Google it. See, the first thing that comes up for me is just docking station. Like, even my Chrome's like, what's this, bro? What is this? Yeah, what? I don't know. Yeah, okay. I still don't know what it is. My Google is so godly, that it doesn't even know what that is. It's like, what is this? Docking? You know, ship docks? I don't know. Docking station? What the fuck is docking?
I've ever known. He be typing up those docs and posting them. I feel like docking is not that bad. Like Atsu does it a ton. A lot of people have docked. Brax is docked. I mean, people dock on Twitter all the time. Like they do it. They dock so much. Guys, it's like Google Docs. Why are you acting like it's something weird? Atsu loves docking. He does it so much. His docs are so long.
Docking is when dudes bump dicks.
Long. He's got crazy
Is it really?
docking
Is it
endurance, on God. That being said, in terms of fetishes that I'd rather not know about anymore,
I guess I am too clean for that ungodly language. I have never heard of that. Never heard of it. I just thought that was touching swords, you know?
I'm sick of the armpit stuff. I don't understand it. I don't like it. And I'm sick of the art where they make the armpit look like something it is not. They make the armpit look like a different body part, and I hate it. If you're gonna have an armpit fetish, at least have it for the armpit and not about it looking like something else. Begging.
Do people have armpit fetishes? Well, you know, people have fetishes over everything, but ew, that's nasty.
Thank you.
It's your fault, Cap. Now, before this sounds like I'm condemning
Cap
sniffing
taught him
sweaty
about
pits.
docking? That makes a lot of sense. Cap is the biggest woman gooner I know.
some of you, remember, I'm right down in this pit with you. I've got 6 gacha games installed on my phone right now that I log in to check in on at least daily. So I'm not saying this as an outsider looking in, I'm saying this as a peer sitting right next to you in the mud. All of these Venn diagrams intersect at one central place, and that is peak toxic gacha player. And now you may not find yourself in the center of this Venn diagram, but I am convinced everybody is in.
See, like, again, I don't think it's still the most toxic. Might be weird, but not the most toxic. I don't, like, let's just take Valorant, you know? I think you've got, like, let's say over here, you've got your furries, okay? Right? Then you've got, like, your full-on racists over here, right? And then, let's say over here, you've got your boyfriend, girlfriends. And then in the middle, you basically have got ultra neo Nazi furries. I don't know. I just think, you know, go to CSGO, you know, same sort of thing. You know, go into Call of Duty. Like these are noob levels, man. These are level 1 levels. You know, you haven't even experienced up, man. You know, this is new gen levels of toxic, in my opinion. This is weird Kuma shit. Yeah, full on agree with that. There's a lot of Kumas in the gacha space, but I got nothing on the old school shit, man, in my opinion. Got nothing on it.
In at least one of these categories. And if you don't think you're in one of these categories, you are a fucking liar. Stop lying to yourself right now.
Okay. Docking is a sexual practice of men who have sex with men in which one man stretches his foreskin over the glans of another man, with both men being more or less erect in the process. That is okay. I'm glad I didn't I'm glad my Chrome was too clean for that, because all I got was docking station. Yeah, that's nasty.
Now,
which category am I
each to their own.
No,
each to their own.
Not even really not the gambler, because I don't even get any joy from gambling anymore. It's kind of just a function of my job. I think I'm a parasocial gooner. And
I'm just gonna say as well, if you're both erect, yeah, how fucking big is your foreskin to be able to stretch it over somebody else's dick while you're erect? You know? I feel is that like a fucking wizard sleeve hanging off the end of your bell end?
proud. I want Changli to bounce it for me. Please, milady, my lady, please bounce that thing for me, girl. Thank you. Also, please, Jane Doe's Endless Zone Zero, bounce that thing for me. Thank you.
Don't think you're in one of these categories? You are a fucking liar. Stop lying to yourself right now. Look, there may be some well-adjusted people who play these games, you know, people like myself, of course, but I have yet to meet anybody else like that. Now, let's be clear, any group of people are going to be susceptible to the pitfalls of a toxic community.
For sure.
These traditional vices, I think, give this group more of a predisposition for them. So we've got our Tinder and our makeup of people. Let's talk about how we set fire.
Okay.
I'm not the first one to say this, and I will not be the last one to say this, but Tribalism. Now, let's be clear. Tribalism is a normal human instinct, and it's one of the things that has allowed us to thrive as a species up until this point. It's not inherently a bad thing.
Okay, can I just say this video is fucking hitting? This is so good so far. I've been really fucking enjoying this. I know I'm joking around a lot, but like this video is hitting. Absolute cinema. Insane. So good.
We all want to have that group of people that we know are going to back us up when the going gets tough. However, toxic tribalism is when the fear of one of those circles starts to lead the group. Toxic tribalism keeps...
Okay, so I'd like to say that I personally have a...
I wouldn't even say that's toxic tribalism. That's just tribalism in itself. That's what led majority of conflict throughout early human history is the fear of the other tribe or the desire to conquer the other tribe. You know, it's kind of how everything went before we became a little bit more, I don't want to use the word civilized because, come on, it's 2024 and we're playing gacha games talking about fucking dudes fucking putting their foreskins over the dudes' dicks, you know.
Slightly different perspective on this because the base actual definition of tribalism is sort of inherently toxic when you take it outside of the original use of tribes, right? Like if you take it outside of caveman shit, you know.
I think even when you apply it to old school humans, if you want to use the word toxic, you know, don't get me wrong, I understand the application to it in regards to like stuff that goes on in gaming, but everything's fucking toxic this, toxic that nowadays. But there are inherent negatives to tribalism back in the day. There were inherent positives because it allowed the survival of a group, you know, the group think, the group together, you know, flourished because of each other, the protection of each other, defending each other, going out and conquering and hunting together. Obviously, there's the positives, but that was coming negatives as well, don't they? Into tribal warfare, you know, the desire to conquer the other tribes and take over and enslave and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think that toxic is the best word to use. It's just our modern, you know, weirdness to address everything that's kind of like got negative connotations as some kind of toxicity, you know, as if it's the right way to describe it.
Pre-industrial era stuff, tribalism is inherently sort of a toxic thing. I think that this is a really good definition of tribalism, and this is something, I want to be clear, that makes a lot of sense when you're a caveman, you know, and you need to keep the in-group strong and the out-group powerful, because like the things, very few things that are as unifying as a common enemy, right? But the two definitions for tribalism that I think are very important to understand are tribal consciousness and loyalty, especially in the exaltation of the tribe above other groups. So what that means is that your tribe is like us is better than them.
So basically, modern politics nowadays, politics in general actually, but even worse nowadays.
This tribe is better than all the other tribes. And then there's the strong in-group loyalty on top of that. You know, and so I want to be clear that like tribalism is sort of inherently toxic when you take it out.
Again, I just don't like the attachment of toxic to tribalism. I understand what she's saying, and she's right. You know, again, as I said, tribalism, even in its original form of humans back in the day, came with its negative sides. It was inherently negative, but it's also inherently positive as well. You know, it's like everything. It's a coin with two sides. It's just that really, for, I guess, the surviving tribe, the inherent positives outweighed the negatives because, of course, they weren't massacred. But for the guys who got invaded, they were like, oh, God, maybe this is not kind of working out for us.
Outside of the realm of like what it was originally used for and the reason why
it's
an
gonna be
instinctual thing. In modern day stuff, tribalism is always going to be toxic. It is inherently toxic because it requires you sort of seeing others as less than. It sees you as being better and others as less. And that is inherently
and when I'm saying this, I'm not denying that it's not toxic. I just hate the use of the word toxic to everything. You know, I just think it's like, I don't get it. I'm thinking about it too deep. You know, I'm not triggered by it. Well, I am. I fucking hate it now. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's just like when we talk about any negative things now, we always add the word toxic to it, as if if it wasn't toxic, it could somehow be a positive, and it could only be a positive, and it's only a negative because of this like extra sauce that's been added to it. When sometimes things are just inherently that way. Again, it's toxic, I guess. But you know, I just think the word's just overused nowadays.
Sort of a negative and toxic thing.
To in a constant state of fear and war, where you always feel like you need to be protecting yourself from the
Yes.
other tribes.
Yeah.
And then if you fail to adhere to the perfect dogma of your own tribe, you will find yourself on the sacrificial altar with the other people you are trying to protect yourself from. When left unchecked, toxic tribalism either only ends in a group devouring itself by trying to constantly achieve a certain degree of purity and
Yep.
people who adhere to the dogma, or if they manage to do that, it will lead them into a place where they refuse to look at any other perspective, leading them into a place of stagnation and a slow state of decay.
I think that was a fantastic way of summarizing this concept. My only thing, I'm not necessarily disagreeing. I'm saying that in my opinion, there is no version of tribalism that is not inherently toxic. Does that make
I agree with that. She's right there. She's right. Like I said, use of the word, but she's right.
sense?
In
I
my
don't
opinion.
think that there's a difference between tribalism and toxic tribalism. My personal belief is that tribalism overall is inherently toxic by nature of what it is. But I do agree that was a great summary of how it works. Absolutely, 100%.
Example, Genshin Impact is a game that has suffered from both of
Boo! Boo! No jokes.
these things at different times where
100%.
people didn't like the game enough, they were just seen as toxic, and now that they refuse to bring about any kind of change, the game has just been a slow state of decay for a while now.
Yes.
I know it's going to piss off some Genshin stands, but look, I'm just calling it as I see it. Even if it
Okay, put a 1 in chat if you still play and enjoy Genshin Impact. Put a 2 in chat if you no longer play or
Yeah, the
no
word
longer
toxic, I
enjoy
feel,
Genshin
in
Impact,
my opinion,
whatever.
is misused and
we'll be
overused at
clear
certain
that
points. Yeah,
probably
definitely
my
agree.
community is a little bit. Okay, we'll be fair that perhaps my community is a little bit not balanced on this one. That was way more twos than I thought that was gonna be.
If
Okay,
I'm,
my
more
community
toxic, I'll
might
be a friggin' mutant.
little bit biased toward no longer playing Genshin, just a slight amount of bias. However, if you still enjoy Genshin, can
I do think, though, as somebody who genuinely, I haven't played Genshin for a while now, and it's not because I hate the game at all. It's just because I've been playing other stuff, and then as I've kind of got back into playing some gachas recently, Wuthering Waves dropped, and I just enjoy it more. And now Zenless is out, and I've kind of there have been 2 games of bouncing around. I do think there's a lot of people though that it's kind of like the cool thing to do now to kind of rag on Genshin. As somebody who does it quite often, I'm just joking, but I do genuinely think there's a lot of people like, I don't play that trash no more. When I bet they do go back to do it. I bet they do go to get some dailies in here and there and do a little bit of farming and, oh, new banner's out, let's go and see if I can pull some stuff. I do think that. But then get online and go, fuck that. I don't play that weak twink trash, man. You fucking mad?
you agree that the community is pretty garbo? Like, honestly, not necessarily worth taking part in. Okay, fair. Fair.
Initially, when you found yourself in one of these groups, this was not your intention to act this way. Just out of self-preservation, people's beliefs will shift over time just to subconsciously protect themselves.
100%.
Now, if you've got a toxic tribe and you take a group
I'm gonna be real. I've been personally suffering from this. Actually, I'm gonna let him say that again.
I think it's totally natural. It's totally natural to shift to protect oneself. You know? And we did start to get to a point, at least that was the attempt in the West, wasn't it? Of individualism over the tribe. You know? Now, of course, that can be in itself can become inherently toxic if it's taken to the extreme as well. This is why I say all of these things are balanced. I'm not saying I'm just using the word toxic here because of the video, what we're talking about, you know, in the context of everything. But, you know, individualism is a great thing. You know, the individual over the tribe, you know, treating people as individuals rather than as a group. But at the same time, when you try and push that so much, you know, it can really create problems as well as just as thinking about people in a monolith, in a group, you know, in a broad sense. It's about finding that balance, isn't it? But I would lean more to being individualistic, because I do think that's the better way. The better way. At the end of the day, humans are tribal creatures. Humans like to be in around cultures that are like them, that look like them, that talk like them, that speak the same language as them. That's just a fact. And it's something that will probably never change in humans. But I do think that was a thing that the West was pushing for a while. But I do think now, especially in America and Britain and Western Europe, the politics of tribalism is massively back now, isn't it? You know, the individualism seems to be kind of going away. The individual means less than the group, doesn't he? You know?
I want to hear that better because I feel like I wasn't fully hearing that.
Even if initially, when you found yourself in one of these groups, this was not your intention to act this way, just out of self-preservation, people's beliefs will shift over time just to subconsciously protect themselves.
I'm gonna be real. I think that I was actually suffering from this, and it was really like hurting my ability to enjoy making content. I think that that was a huge part of me needing this break.
Humans like to fit in as well, don't they?
And me needing to like recollect myself and figure out what I was about to be doing, because I do think that to a certain point I was sort of just like entrenching myself on one side of things because there was a protectiveness of it for sure. That's so real and true, because the reality is that if you entrench yourself with one tribe, you only get attacked by the other tribe. It's like a protective thing because your tribe will also protect you. Where like, if you don't participate in the tribalism, you end up sort of being attacked by everyone. And so what I think had happened is like, I was playing.
That's why you see nowadays on Twitter and in politics in general, everybody loves to hate on a centrist, don't they? You know, because they try and keep themselves in the middle, not left, not right, not to voice their opinions too strongly on either side. And then sometimes you get both sides attacking them, saying that they're the real villain because they allow the other side to, you know, take the narrative and such and such. Yeah, we humans at the end of the day, we are just monkeys wearing clothes, aren't we? You know, we love to pretend we're not, but we really are. You know, we are a few generations from, you know, just running around jungles, freaking eating each other and shitting in our hands and throwing it. Well, Jesus Christ, some people still do that nowadays, but you know what I mean?
Woo-wah. And I really entrenched myself heavy on that like anti-Hoyo stuff. And then I ended up liking ZZZ so much. And it was like, then the tribe that I had been participating in was like, bro, fuck you. How dare you betray the tribe? You're fucking with the other tribe. You're mingling with them, and then they're mad at me. But then
yeah, I've definitely noticed that as well. There is that like sort of anti-Hoyo, well, tribe, of course, within the gacha space. And if content creators do dabble into it who have been negative against Hoyo, you know, as I said earlier, this is a problem when you bathe in these communities. Inevitably, it's going to turn on you because you're going to choose to do something that you want to do that's going to go against the groupthink that you've kind of fostered, and it's going to bite you in the ass, isn't it? Really. As well, the funny thing is about the people who get mad about stuff like that, like, you know, people like Hex who have maybe been a little bit negative towards Hoyo and then gone and played a Hoyo game and enjoyed it. You can guarantee they've tried it out as well, but it's okay for them to do it because they're not the streamer and they've got that weird parasocial relationship going on. Like,
tribe that I had been shitting on is also mad at me. And so like it was being attacked by both sides, which was obviously really difficult. When I started trying to unentrench myself without fully understanding what had been going on and why that was happening, that was so difficult. But I think this is absolutely something I had fallen victim to and a big reason why I needed to take a break.
Now,
and I think as well, VTubers could probably suffer from this more than normal streamers. Because at the end of the day, I think one thing with streaming, it's like actors, isn't it? And it's like movie stars, TV presenters, sports stars. People separate the real human that's behind, you know, the bag of meat that was once a little baby that's grew up and experienced life in all the similar sort of ways that you have. Obviously, everybody has a different background, but do you understand what I'm saying? You know, I've experienced all that life has to offer, and they just see this other person through a screen on a field, and there's that detachment happens. And I think it probably might impact VTubers even more because then there's that extra layer of them being behind the avatar. So it allows people who tend to be parasocial for it to kick in even quicker because it's almost like, well, they're not a real person, you know? I definitely think that, you know, it will attract more people like that. Because obviously VTubing is blown up, but I think it will definitely attract more parasocial, you know, almost stalker type people, you know, because they don't see that person as a real person. And if they dare make their own choices outside of what they believe they should, they'll get a little bit rowdy about it, you know what I mean? Twitter most of the times in arguments he's mostly picking sides and then just what she said if you're on one side but you agree with the other side. the side you're on will deem you a traitor and attack you. It's a shame. We have, as I said, I felt like that's one thing, at least it felt like in the West, at least, especially in America and the UK as well. It felt like, you know, you could, there was that, it's a perfect term, you know, the old term of we can agree to disagree. It's a beautiful thing, but I feel like we're going backwards a little bit, especially in the West. That seems to be going away now. You know, we just don't act like adult humans anymore, really, do we? We seem to be becoming a lot more emotional, a lot more tribalistic, and a lot more vehement with it as well, you know, to the point of, you know, Jesus, you've only got to see what happened to Trump the other day, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, we seem to have took a few steps back, especially in the West. I feel like, you know, as somebody who's a little bit older than probably most of the people who watch my stuff, back in the 90s, there was always kind of like this feeling of like, we were trending in the right direction in that regards. Not to put a downer on the future, but it just really feels like we have stepped back in that regards. We've advanced so many ways, and we've done so many good things in regards to social issues as well. But then we've kind of like, I don't know, we've really delved into this, like, this tribalism now to the point where it's making things worse.
You've got
like,
a toxic tribe and you
really
take a
bad.
group of antisocial people who, generally speaking, have a hard enough time integrating themselves into
Hey, what's going on,
particular
Cheese?
groups. They're going to be ripe for this kind of experience.
Oh, good, bro.
Then
Good.
if you've got the gamblers in the group, they're very quick to weaponize that group of people because they have a fear of loss and want to protect their investments.
100%.
Then you've got the gooners and the degenerates standing around, just jerking off constantly, so busy in their own heads that they just sit around and let it all happen anyway. Kind of
Yeah.
Like the guy who likes to watch the world burn, right? Just jacking off over his JPEG wife who's just like, you know?
sloth coming out of the fruits of lust in a weird way. Usually the only
Interesting.
thing that can get one of the gooners or degenerates really fired up in a toxic way is when they smell censorship. Because
Yeah.
like, dude, I swear, if I gotta hear one more person complain about Nicole's boobs being nerfed, I'm gonna riot.
Fair complaint, though. Come on, fair complaint, though. It's true. It's true. But fair complaint, though, right? You know? Any Kumas in the chat? Any Kumas?
Honestly, same. Also, I'm gonna say it. I'm glad they censored those Aboba because there is no way I could have played Zenless Zone Zero with a clear head if those things were thinking like that. However,
I think, in my opinion, I think the actual top looks better. It almost accentuates the cleavage more, if I'm honest. I don't know if they're like, they've got smaller, but like just from the images I saw, it seemed like the way the top is now, it kind of accentuates it a little bit more. It directs you into it, you know what I mean? Well, it does me anyway.
I am also sick of that. That's a joke. I don't care. If you want the Aboba, have the Aboba, okay? I don't personally give a shit. Put one in chat if you're jorking your peanuts right now, though.
I'm gonna absolutely lose it. Nobody cares. But the
Agreed.
combination of these three groups.
I don't know. A lot of people do seem to, though, you know, because people got wild about it, didn't they? You know, it seems that it's evident that a lot of people do care. I don't. I'm never going to get mad over really anything in a video game beyond being like, oh, fuck. And then I carry on with my day. But yeah, some people are incredibly invested.
Always kind of being on the lookout makes the current state of the community even trickier. I would like to propose that people in these communities don't know how to exist in a time of peace. Like a
I
bunch
agree.
of World War II veterans coming back with PTSD, they just
Yeah.
see war everywhere. The gotcha
Agreed.
space as a whole finally finds itself on the other side of a multi-phase drama that contained one of the biggest bouts of content creator PvP that I've ever
Exactly,
seen
grabs
over
ya,
multiple
exactly.
years. For real,
Yeah.
this is the longest saga I feel like I've ever seen.
Who'd like to come into the PvP ring with me? By the way, it'll be funny. It's born in here. Who wants to 1v1 fighting game style? Let's do it. Let's fight. It'll be funny.
In any kind of YouTube niche, with maybe the exception of like, I don't know, the makeup and beauty space, because them bitches is crazy.
Yeah. They are, when we talk about toxicity, you know, I feel like that's a perfect application of the word there in that space, you know, in that specific space. I think it perfectly encompasses it, you know. People love to attach it to like masculine things, but to me, that's toxic, you know, that kind of culture, that space, and a lot of those guys as well, super fucking toxic.
I'm gonna be real.
And I feel like it's the perfect
Fun
word
fact
as
about
well
me,
for it.
a really, really long time ago, you can't find these videos. They've been deleted off the internet. My first attempt at being a content creator was being in the beauty community. My first video that I ever posted on the internet was a beauty drama video. This is not a joke at all. I forgot about this. It was a drama makeup video! And you know what? It got like 50K views. That did better than every single video on my entire channel now,
Creepy,
except for
yeah.
one. Isn't that crazy? I like drama content is the point. It is kind of like the core of who I am as a human. I like chisme. It's just who I am. I like to talk about it. I try to be a makeup influencer. I tried to be a makeup influencer, but I was too unwell and I quit. And then the makeup community, like right after, just imploded and it was terrible.
Just so we don't get it twisted, yes, I am referring to the Tectone and Atsu drama that spiraled out of control, that had tons of content creators being sucked into this vortex. It was a black hole event. It was like the bloody...
You know, that's one I actually never got sucked into in terms of just watching it. Like, because I do watch Tectone videos from time to time, you know, especially more now, like, because I've been reacting to stuff on stream and stuff. Well, I saw some videos that he made about the whole Tectone Atsu situation, but it's just like, I don't know what the hell, like, happened. I've got no idea of the timeline. I just know that it seemed like everybody was seeing Atsu as a piece of shit, like, so I guess, yeah. I'm back at the phone call from OSP, the Changli. Oh, full fiber, baby. Full fiber.
It's an America Civil War event that took place. Like, it's crazy. It's too much to recap in this video here. If you want to learn more about that, Muujin...
Yeah, it seems that, because every time I watched a video that was talking about it, I must have been on, like, volume 3, chapter 5, part 2, because there was just no context to what came before. It's just that everybody just seemed to be fucking railing on Atsu. I called him Ratsu then. That's because everybody in the videos just kept calling him Ratsu. So, yeah.
Did a great video on it. If you got...
Muujin's video is fantastic. I will say that whole thing was honestly, legitimately awful. Affected a lot of people's lives in ways that cannot be undone and should not be joked about too much. I do sort of owe that situation my career. So... I am glad that happened, but it obviously caused a lot of wreckage and harm to a lot of people.
That's based as fuck. That is from Hex. Hey, yo, okay, all right. A lot of bad shit happened, but hey, look where I am now. It started from the bottom now, yeah.
People who did not deserve it, and some people who sort of high-key did.
A few hours to spare, but I'm not getting into all the details on this one. All of that matters is that we've gone through this crazy event and it is now seemingly done. There was a small epilogue there, kind of a little bit that happened with MTash, but even that's all a wash. So it seems
what happened with MTash? I don't know anything about that.
Things have finally cooled off in terms of the content creator space, which I'm gonna be honest is really nice to see.
Yeah.
But, well, a lot of these content creators have moved into a time of recovery. Like, for example,
well, it's the calm after the storm, isn't it? It's like that with most big drama spectacles. You know, like I say, I am like old school in this. I remember the old school freaking Call of Duty drama, the Raw Instinct, the fake nukes. You know, the X-Jaw stuff, you know, that's like, we're going back to like, you know, like early 2010s, like, well, 2010s, I'm talking like, you know, round about 2010 through to like 2012 era of YouTube, you know what I mean? But a lot of people who probably come into my channel are probably like, they would have been in diapers then. You know, and usually you have this big blowout and then a bunch of people get freaking targeted, they get cancelled, they get excommunicated from the space and they disappear and then everything settles and calms down, you know, just like at the ending, the firing of the guns have stopped and everybody comes to terms with it and people shake hands and break bread and then it all starts all over again.
For example, Tectone just went on a break. Hex Juice has been on a break. Other people as well.
I'm back though. Thank you for mentioning me. But I'm back. But yeah, I did need that break real bad. It was really bad. I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of using this as a. I didn't know that this video was gonna be hit so hard. I'm gonna be real. So I'm kind of using this as an excuse to talk about myself as well. I really did need some time to sort of sit down and actually reflect on what I needed and what I wanted and what my goals were and whether or not I was doing what I thought was going to achieve them. I'm so glad that I did this because I feel so much better. I feel like you can hear it in my voice. Like if you watched a video from me like a week or two ago, compared to today, I feel like I just sound better. I sound happier. I am happier. I was legitimately thinking about quitting. Really, not quitting, but like I didn't know how to get out of the way that I felt and the way that I was like handling the community stuff. And I
see, I don't even know what all this is about. I'm totally. The only thing I know was I remember that well, I won't even call it drama, but there was like the little back and forth between Tectone, Hex, and MTash because Hex had kind of like said that she didn't like Zenly Zone Zero, and Tectone had kind of said that you know, people are stupid if they they can't, that basically if they've only played the game for a couple of hours, it's stupid to say a game's not good. And then like Hex spoke to Tectone, and then like MTash got like all angry saying the way Tectone was speaking to Hex, and Hex then kind of fell out with MTash because she was like, you know, you don't need to speak for me and defend me. And then Hex and Tectone kind of made up, and then Tectone fell out with MTash because MTash did kind of go a little bit wild. Which you know, Hex has now come around to liking Zenly Zone Zero. Even though I liked Zenly Zone Zero at the start, I definitely saw some of the issues, and I definitely disagree with what Tectone said. In my humble opinion, unless you're reviewing a video game, I think it is totally fine to play a video game for an hour and say it's trash. Now, it's just your opinion, and I don't think somebody can go, you're wrong. You know, to you, they might be wrong, but I think if you can play a video game for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and it's not hitting, that's fair. That's fair for you to say. You're not a reviewer. It's not your job to review a game. You're not giving a factual, you know, bullet point freaking explanation of why the game's bad. You're just like, you know what, the game didn't hit. I didn't like this. It's not for me. And that's totally fine. And you can also then come back to a game, play a bit more and like it. And it doesn't mean you were wrong. At the end of the day, it's up to a game to engage you right off the bat. Now, if you're a reviewer, then you should definitely be at least completing the story of a game if it's a story game, or at least engaging with a good chunk of content if it's a live service, you know, game that's going to have content added to it. Yeah, I think it's totally fine to play a game for like an hour and be like, yeah, that game's trash, man. It's trash. That's just my opinion. Don't like it. Not doing it. Same way as it's okay to watch a film and be like 20 minutes in and be like, yeah, fuck this film. I don't want to watch it. You know? Now, if you went and then tried to review the film, totally different situation, because you're actually trying to review it from, and I think that's just disingenuous because you haven't even watched the film. How do you know what happened in the film? You don't know. And you're trying to tell people how the film is. But it's fine for you to go, yeah, I tried watching the new, I don't know, fucking whatever film, the new Marvel film, and it sucked. And like, that's fair, it's okay. People might go, well, I disagree with you, and I think you're wrong. And it's like, okay, it's totally subjective, isn't it? You know? Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think he'd got I know he said, because Tectone even said that, didn't he? He was like, you know, just say it if you've got a problem with it. And he did, didn't he? And he was like, yeah, I've got a problem with that, which, like, you know, if you have got a problem, you shouldn't use defending somebody else to express your ill feeling towards that person. You know, just bring it up. If somebody's done something to irk you, just let them know early on. And then, you know, it doesn't have to get to this boiling point of you maybe saying shit that you regret at the end of the day. Because I think MTash did regret some of the stuff he said at the end, didn't he? Which, you know, it's never a good position to be in, to say things to people and then sitting there afterwards, you know, before you get to bed thinking, fuck. I'm not saying I wasn't valid in some of the things I thought, but I really shouldn't have said what I said and the way I said it, kind of thing, you know? That's fair, Neil, man. It's totally fair.
I felt like it was just like not gonna get better, and so it was so.
Bro, if you'd have played 30 minutes in Wuthering Waves and was like, this is ass, you're not wrong. That's how you felt about the game. Christ, I remember when I told you to get CSGO, and I think what you played it for 5 minutes was like, fuck this. You know?
So fucking hard to know how to like get through it. And I had
And
to.
that doesn't mean you're stupid or wrong for voicing that opinion. Now, if you'd have gone and then created a freaking a full-on review on a website about it and you were getting paid for it and you were like, this is why CSGO is a bad game and started to list all the things, then it'd be like, okay, that's a disingenuous review and that's kind of like a shitty take. But for just saying like, yeah, tried the game, didn't like it, not for me. Okay, cool.
To just not
And you're even allowed to voice those opinions publicly as well.
stream
Just
and
not in the
like
guise of a review?
actually think and like talk about it and figure out what I wanted and talk through it. I was not going to be able to slam my face into it enough that it was going to fix itself. I had to stop and consider my options. And I'm so glad that I did. I highly recommend to any content creators, if you are struggling with your mental health, with the negativity in the community.
Yeah, I agree with this because, like, there was a talk, like, you know, when Hassan was saying about how the content creation's harder than 9 to 5. As somebody who's done a bunch of different 9 to 5s, you know, I've done freaking roofing, through to sales, through to freaking warehouse work. You know, I've done a bit of everything. The only thing I suppose I haven't really done is something that's a highly educated job, I guess, had been in the military. And it's just not getting to sit down and do the thing you enjoy. Especially if it's things like play video games or to talk to your community. It's one of the easiest and best things you can do. But, that being said, it can be incredibly draining on your mental health, especially as you get bigger. Obviously, I'm a tiny channel, but there was a point on YouTube where I'd get like 200 to 500 viewers a stream. And believe me, it can get draining. It really can. You know, even just things like having the same question hit at you over and over again, it can get to you. So being involved in a lot of drama can definitely get to you. And yeah, I think being a creator, you've got to learn to get a thick skin and you've got to learn to know when, right, I need to step back a little bit and have a little bit of a mental health break. You know what I mean? And that's for any job. Any job can be like that. It doesn't even matter if it's a 9 to 5 job. You know, sometimes at the end of the day, your mental health and your physical health is more important than any job, even if it means you earn less. You know, sometimes you might even have to take a step back totally and go down a different career path and earn less money, which I've done in the past. I've had jobs that have been like quite lucrative and I've been like, you know what? I can't deal with this, man. It makes me sad. And I've gone to other jobs where I've earned less money and I've been much happier. And that's the best way to live your life.
Community, I'm begging you, please sit down and talk to people you trust about what you want and what you need. It will help you so much because there's a certain
did sign writing, yeah.
amount when you are on the grind, you're not going to be able to figure out fuck all. But I think that there are a lot of people who are very obviously burnt out, on edge, frustrated, mad, all of that stuff, right? And like literally take a couple of days off and think about what you need and what you want from content creation, because there is no point in continuing the grind if it's not fun. This is something that Pokey said, and I think Fob said something similar. Us as content creators, we get to have the coolest, funnest, comfiest job ever. We get to sit and play video games and talk about games, talk about shit, and people listen and like us. That's like the bestest fucking job in the world.
Sometimes like us. Not lumping myself in this here because obviously I'm a tiny channel, you know, I'm not like trying to say, you know, it's like, you know, that's like playing football on a Sunday and being like, yeah, to Ronaldo, you know, odd job into being a footballer.
And if you're not having fun, just go, what is the point of doing something like this if you don't enjoy it? There's none.
I've been taking some time.
Especially when there's a lot of medium to smaller channels that are earning, you know, minimum or even below minimum wage. At that point, if it's like making you have a bad life, just go get a shitty job where you'd be happy and you wouldn't have to deal with it all, you know?
Some vacation
hey,
too, but I wasn't really in the drama. But it's nice to see that everybody's finally cooling off. But I don't know if you haven't noticed, but it feels like even though the content creators may be in a cool down state,
yeah, I think drama can cause a price, definitely. I think if you're gonna like be a person that really, you know, deals in drama content all the time, you need to kind of be built like somebody like Tectone and Keemstar, you know, where it just shit does not phase you. You know what I mean? Like, I think Tectone, it probably phases him a little bit more than he does Keem. Tectone, you know, he's definitely like, he deals with most of it. But I think, you know, there's sometimes that I've seen there's like, you know, you could see that, okay, all right. Don't think he's enjoying this so much now. But like, you know, like somebody like Keem, he's like Bane, you know. Dude was born in the darkness. Dude was born in the drama. You know what I mean? So like, he can just deal with it kind of thing. Like, and can just live a happy life along with it. Where some people, like, they try to get involved in it and they're just not built for it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Bix, have you seen that Snoop Dogg is one of those carrying the Olympic torch in Paris? Oh, really?
It seems like the communities are far from it, and
100%.
they're still out looking for blood. Just to be clear,
100%.
I'm not I very much believe at the end of the day that people are only responsible for their own actions, but, you know, it is happening.
There's an in-between state there where content creators do have a certain amount of culpability for encouraging sensationalization and all of that stuff, for sure. Additionally, people should be intelligent enough to think for themselves.
I missed that.
Blaming any of the content creators for the stuff that's going on. I very much believe at the end of the day that people are only responsible for their own actions, but, you know, it is happening.
There's an in-between state.
But it feels like even though the content creators may be in a cool down state, it seems like the communities are far from it, and
100%.
they're still out looking for blood. Just to be clear, I'm not blaming any of the content creators for the stuff that's going on. I very much believe at the end of the day that people are only responsible for their own actions, but, you know, it is happening.
There's an in-between state there where content creators do have a certain amount of culpability for encouraging sensationalization and all.
Of course I do. Of course I do. You know, with great power comes great responsibility. The bigger reach you have, you've got to understand that your words, especially if you've got a big community, your words do carry weight. Now, they shouldn't, you know, but we live in a world now where people will listen to what pop stars and movie stars say in terms of voting. Oh, well, Robert De Niro said that. Well, that's who I'm voting for then. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to that sort of stuff, you've got to make your own decisions. But let's face it, people don't. People love to follow things, and that's where we go back to the tribalism situation. People love to have a freaking, you know, a freaking totem pole to look at and be like, tell us what to do, leader. They said to do it, so I'm off, I'm out, I'm going to do what I can. At the end of the day, a content creator does have to take responsibility for that to a degree, but to a degree, you know, they can't control what crazy people can do, but they also have to understand that their words are going to maybe potentially encourage crazy people. And that's what, you know, if you've got, like say, great power comes great responsibility. Spidey knew it. Spidey's uncle knew it. So you should too.
All of that stuff, for sure. Additionally, people should be intelligent enough to think for themselves and not just copy paste their personality from people that they watch online. But there is a middle ground where people have responsibility for their own actions, and content creators also have responsibility for the effect that they have as influencers, because that's what...
Because they know that there's people out there that don't have critical thinking and don't have the ability to make decisions themselves and will make it based on what other people have said, you know. Perfect example the other day, again, going back to the assassination thing on Trump. You can dislike Trump, you can dislike all the things he says. You can even think maybe, well, he's a threat to all the things I believe in. But to then go and do that, again, things that people have said about him have probably caused and catered to his crazy thoughts, not blaming them, but you got to understand that your words definitely do have ramifications, because there's crazy people out there, and they're going to listen to some of the shit you say and think, okay, this is justification to go and do what I'm going to do.
What we do, we influence people.
Wuthering Waves on its launch was at war with Genshin, and now Zenless Zone Zero is at war with Wuthering Waves. The absolute comment sections are bloodbaths of people ripping on both sides. People complaining that Arknight's Enfield is going to suck, or it's going to be the next best game. Can the Tower of Fantasy devs actually deliver on NTE? And then, of course, Azure Premilia. Well, actually, most people are pretty excited about Azure Premilia, but
that seems to be the thing. Like, everybody, like, Neverness to Everness. I've seen people like, nah. Project Mugen, nah. But everybody's like, well, Azure Premilia, I'm actually kind of interested.
I was rewatching all the trailers. I am so excited.
What is it about Azure Premilia that seems to bring everybody together then?
But like Pow World, and that is
obviously, I know there's going to be people who don't, but for the most part, it seems to be the popular kid at school, doesn't it? You know, everybody seems to kind of like, well, you know, not really into him, but he's kind of cool.
slay.
You get my point. Players of each of these games are still in the comments, are still in the threads, just going to town on each other, and it's just exhausting. And this whole
It is if you get invested, but it's also kind of hilarious. Come on, I think it's funny. I love to go on Twitter and, especially with some political stuff and you see people arguing, it's no shot to you Americans, but you guys are the best at it. Fucking hilarious. Pure cinema sometimes on Twitter. Don't get me wrong. We're catching up with you guys, and everybody around the world's catching up, I think. But you guys are just like, you do it the best, like chef's kiss. Fucking hilarious. You see it in the football communities, the way people argue. Again, going back to the old console war situation, you see it with that. I love to watch grown men arguing about which console's better. I think it's freaking hilarious, man. If you got invested in it, I guess it could become incredibly tiresome. But, I love to hop on Twitter sometimes and just see, like, two 45-year-old men arguing about which company's better and which stock price is doing better than the other one. Well, they sold 15 million units compared to 7 million this actual month. So, there you go. I've got to go and wash my fucking kids now. I'll be back in a bit to argue with you more.
The whole thing is extra funny to me because it feels like people have forgotten something that's so incredibly obvious.
Just try washing the kids then. It's like going out to wash the car or something, Don't know why I did that.
Reality is not real. All that is real
Hose it
is the
down,
internet and video games. That's it.
I think a weird reality that those on the front lines refuse to acknowledge is like something that I pointed out earlier in this video. Most people play more than one gacha game. I've got 6 on...
What? No, they can't. Traitors.
Right! That's the thing that's so weird about it. So few people.
Yeah, I've had a few people say that actually, from like, especially people who come from me like playing things like Honkai and have come like, and now you can see. And I've had like quite a few people like, well, dude, what you got so many gacha games on your freaking shit for? And I'm just like, well, why not, man? I want to play a couple of different games, Not just gacha games there. I got New World, I got Throne of Liberty, we got Guild Wars, Final Fantasy, we got fucking, we got like Rockstar over here, Valorant, Body Cam, Division, CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege,
Who are really into gacha games only play one. Most people who play gacha games play more than one. They play at least 2, but like that's so weird.
I'd say they'd probably have one primary one, and I think that's just because of the time and the potential cash cost, and the account that they've got. They'll probably typically have one that's like the kind of the main one, and then the other one that kind of orbits that one that they're hopping in and out of, and then a couple that they just dabble with here and there and don't really bother with. But there's somebody, like, I'm just a gamer through and through, man, Like, I'm in my 30s, man. I've been gaming since most people who come to my content didn't exist. And, like, I just love video games. I love video games. Video games are just amazing. I love the whole space. So I want to enjoy as much of it as I can. That interests me, at least, anyway. And I'll never, ever stick to just playing one particular game or one particular genre or one game within a genre. Like, I want to taste all of it, You don't eat steak every day for the rest of your life. Steak's great, boy. It'd get fucking boring after a fucking week, wouldn't it? You want to try all the different food, man. You know what I mean?
On my phone, almost anybody I know who plays gacha games doesn't only play one single game. They usually have at least multiple installed on their phones or consoles.
Hey, listen, right? Listen. Okay?
PC.
Yes.
Gacha games have never been and will never be structured as a main game. They're all designed to be side games, and therefore people usually end up picking up multiple to cycle through them. They're all intended to be played in short bursts. I mean, hell, that's Hoyoverse's whole business model. They want to suck you into their ecosystem of games so that you are constantly jumping from one game to the next, because there's not always going to be
This is exactly what I said Zenly Zone Zero was designed for. It's that third game within the space now. If you play all 3 main games, every other week you're going to have an update. There's going to be a 4th game soon. And then that means then that every single week you're going to be getting a major update and you're going to be forever trapped, It's like, it's going to be like the fucking 2 girls out the Shining, you know what I mean? Like, come and play with us forever and ever. And you can never leave, Just waifus everywhere. And you're just going to be destitute. You're going to be under a bridge on your fucking mobile phone, like fucking begging for change so you can get a new waifu, you know what I mean?
content existing in each one of them. So they want you
Exactly.
to be able to go from Zenless Zone Zero to Honkai Star Rail, back to Genshin, back to Zenless Zone Zero. That's the whole point.
That's specifically what I said before. The people who designed Zenless Zone Zero are not stupid, because the combat system in that game has had that in mind in the entire way it's been designed. The way it's like this action, like sort of semi-manual combat that almost, it's not turn-based. I know it's not, but it kind of like, it's almost akin to it in a way. I don't know how to describe it, you know what I mean? It's almost akin to it. It feels like the middle ground between Star Rail and Genshin. You've got a turn-based game and a fully manual action combat game. And then you've got Zenless in between that kind of like is, you know, reaching out to both of them as the bridge between the two games.
You actually forgot about Honkai Impact 3rd and Tears of Themis, which is very disrespectful to those communities that are very alive and thriving.
Sorry, I know Honkai Impact 3rd is there
ZZ
too, but like
ZZZ will never pull me into their trap, even though they have waifus.
Whatever. It's
Give it time, my child. Give it time.
It's a very important gacha game that a lot of people care a lot about.
fine, you understand. Outside of Hoyoverse though, even if a game on launch has a ton of content for you to do, what we call the honeymoon phase, where you can sit down and binge a gacha game for the first time, that will eventually come to an end and you reach what's called the maintenance mode. That's when you reach the state of the game where you can kind of log in every day, do your dailies, spend some resin, and then you can make some
Like to me, gacha games are like girls, man. You know, when you're young, you're like, oh, girls, icky, man. Then you get your first taste and you're like, oh, you're dribbling, you know, you just need more.
progression on your account, but you're not able to just sit there and actually do extended play sessions.
Yeah, because it's not an MMO. You're not supposed to grind endlessly, and that's okay. It's a good thing for your
Well,
brain.
the actual video is saying that the most toxic gaming community is the gacha community, which I still fundamentally disagree with. It's kind of gone off on a big tangent, if I'm honest, and I think it's just talking about people's, you know, the way people think in general, if I'm honest, and human nature. But the video is about the most toxic gaming community, which I still don't think it is. I just think it's probably one of the more Kuma communities, you know, a little bit more degenerate in terms of the weirdness side of things, but I definitely don't think it's the most toxic.
To not be playing games endlessly. There are people, do you guys know this, who specifically will speed run through the beginning period of binging content so that they can put the game into their their log of maintenance mode games.
Yeah, I don't understand that, why people play. Obviously each to their own, but I don't know how people can do that. I like to savor it a little bit, you know what I mean? I like to savor content in a video game. I've never really understood that, like, just get through it as quick as possible. I've got to smash this out in a couple of days and then I'm done and I'm on to something else. I understand it sometimes from content creators' points of view, but, you know, reviewers, people who want to talk about stuff, you know, DSP, get it. Even though it doesn't matter how much he tries to speedrun a game, he ain't getting through nothing fast. Do you understand what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it just ruins. It's like fucking wolfing your food down. You don't get to enjoy the taste, do you?
Those are people who actually understand what gacha games are and what they are for. You're just meant to put them on your fucking chore list. They're not meant to be played that much. They are meant to be a little bit of extra dopamine at the end of your day that you do for like 10, 15 minutes, a little bit extra.
That's why they're so successful now as well, because a lot of people don't have that time and they're kind of catered towards people who do have jobs because they've got a little bit of extra money to spend, and then they can get that little dopamine hit, do some dailies, do a bit of questing, pull a big titty waifu, go jerk off and go to bed and get up for work the next day, you know.
Extra if you're feeling silly, and then you go do other stuff.
That finally comes when a new patch drops or a new event takes place, where then you can finally log in and then binge part of that.
Exactly.
And then as soon as that's done, you cycle on to the next gacha game.
See, I must be playing gacha games wrong, because I don't. Like, I've been binging Wuthering Waves, but like, I'm still like, but not to that degree. I haven't sped through the content. I've kind of just been, you know, I've still got side quests to do from 1.1. And like, I've got a lot of level 70 characters. I've got pretty much every single character in the game apart from Ling Yang. So I haven't really missed content, but I've still got like, and I've still got plenty of areas in the game. Well, I haven't even 100% explored one single area in the game yet. You know? So like, I don't know how people do it, man, if I'm honest.
and the wheel continues.
I think that's like a bit of my ADHD though sometimes, when I get ultra focused for a little bit and then I end up just waffling around in a game for a while because I'm just like, you know, distracted.
So what this means to someone like me is that most people who are screaming about this online probably have at least
You've evidently been reading my diary pics.
playing. And there are definitely people who are finding themselves on both sides of these conflicts. I play Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves, and I don't have any issue in doing so.
You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that.
Right now, and yet constantly what I'm seeing is people shitting on the other because
And
of
God forbid if you dare play Genshin Impact and then go and play Wuthering Waves.
whatever combat or whatever story or whatever art style. Pick your side. The argument's made on both. People
The thing is that they do completely different things for completely different, like for people who are looking for something different. Someone could want both what you get from WoWA and what you get from Zenless Zone Zero. And
Dude, the way I look at video games anyway, obviously there's just certain things I'm not interested in, but for the most of the games I like, you know, some days I fancy a Chinese on a Friday. Some days I fancy an Indian. Other times I'm like, you know what? I want a Perico's. You know what? Actually today I'm going to have kebab meat and chips. Actually, I'm going to be good. I'm going to have some skinless chicken and chips because I'm feeling healthy. I don't know why people have to always attach these things of like what a game can do for you. Like at the end of the day, sometimes just fucking play what you want to play. Like, you know what I mean? I think people get a little bit too deep in that stuff sometimes. It's just that's the beauty of games. That's the beauty of free to play games as well. People get so wrapped up, especially in gacha games. It's like any free to play game really. You just try the game out. If you enjoy it, play it now and again. Just have fun.
so they can enjoy both games. Some people want the experience from WoWA. They're going to prefer that. Some people want the...
I skipped Jinsey for Changli. Almost got right. We got her and a weapon in the end. Oh, nice. Yeah, I got Jinsey and I got a weapon. And dude, just to let you know, this is how good I am at Wuthering Waves. Like, skill difference. I got Changli in 22 pulls last night. You know, just saying. You know, get good. Scrubs.
experience that you get from Zenless Zone Zero, they prefer that. They're games that are for a different desire, essentially. And you can want both of those things, but some people don't. And that's also okay. Some people don't want to have to think that hard. Some people don't want a super difficult game. Some people do want high stylization and fun and kind of dicking around sort of gameplay. And some people want to grind echo.
And the thing is as well, some people want all of those things interchangeably. You know, it's not exclusive. I like super high stylized games sometimes. That's why I really kind of like Zenless Zone Zero. And I quite like the combat. It's simple. But then I also like Wuthering Waves where the combat's a little bit more complex and it's a little bit darker. But then I also like hardcore games like Valorant. And then, you know, freaking Arena Breakout and Tarkov, even though I haven't played it for a while. And then sometimes I want to play an old school JRPG. And, you know, oh, guess what? Next thing, I'm just feeling like playing a third-person looter shooter. You know, that's the thing as well that we, you know, I think most people are like this. I'm flexible in what I want. And sometimes I want something totally different. I have these, like, this is why I say I think sometimes I've got ADHD. I have these ultra-focused moments where it's like, right, all I want to play at the moment is gacha games. And then I have like a moment of like, and I had it not long ago, just before Christmas, where all I wanted to play was JRPGs. I was downloading all my old school JRPGs again and playing through those. And then it was like, right, I'm going to play through Halo and I'm going to play through the entire Halo series. And then it was like, all right, let's do Mass Effect now. And then, okay, actually now I'm back to things like gacha games and stuff. It's, you know, just go with it, like, man. I think that's where you have most fun, you know?
Goes and stuff like that, and they want to, you know, do hologram 6 with level 40 characters or whatever, and that's all okay. And those are all...
No, it's like, I like doggy style. Sometimes it's nice for your missus to go on top, you know, or whatever position, you know what I mean? Gets a bit boring otherwise, doesn't it? You know, you might even want to finger up the bum. Whoa, I'm just saying.
Things that people can enjoy, and one person can enjoy all of those things, but you can't expect every game to fulfill the same need for you. It completely defeats the entire point of having multiple games, of making more games. If every game is the same flavor, why would you have Baskin Robbins but they're all chocolate? Because most people really like chocolate ice cream. You're
Next, you be throwing your weight behind Concord, right?
gonna want variety to get as many people to come in as
I have been feeling I've been getting an anchoring for like, I want to play a shooter where I can be like, I know my character's pronouns. Now I feel so much better. I am playing They, them. Let's go.
possible. That's what gacha games are for. Or that's why there are multiple gacha games. That's why Zenless Zone Zero is different. And that's fine. It's not perfect, but neither is any other game, especially not any other gacha game. And that's okay. We don't have to enjoy it. And if someone else enjoys it, it's none of your business. It doesn't matter.
Just recycle.
I think the game that got the closest to perfection, was it Red Dead Redemption 2? Was it? Was it Red Dead Redemption 2? Was that the closest to perfection? Was that as close as we'll get to gaming heaven? Was it? What is your gaming heaven? You know, what almost got you there? You know, where you could be like, dude, this game is almost perfect. It's just perfect. You know, I think Red Dead 2. I think for me as well, Mass Effect 2, although there was a lot of things that I could say in that where I'd be like, you know, well, this is this and that and this, but like Mass Effect 2 for me was just like, oh my God, that was such an experience. Such a freaking experience. But I think as well, time changes, all those sort of things. I remember when Fallout 3 was just like this mind-blowing experience, and Final Fantasy 9 as well. You know, I remember playing Final Fantasy. That was a time as well. I think that was in itself amazing game. But the time, you know, I was a young kid. I was suffering from like really bad eczema then. I was out of school for a while, and I used to just sit at home and play Final Fantasy 9 all day. And oh my God, it was glorious, you know? Absolutely glorious. Shadow of the Colossus. Doom Eternal. Good games, good games. Can't even pick up a gun in a game without considering my pronouns, right? You know.
Cycle the same shit and keep arguing about it over and over again. And then someone like me sitting there like, guys.
I understand it is our job to yap. Well, it's, you know, it's these guys' job to yap. I'm just a hanger-oner. I don't know why we get so invested in trying to get people to stop this. It's just human nature to just act the fool, you know what I mean? And that is a great time to pause on Nicole's boobas. See what I was saying, though? Even though they've been nerfed, I feel like the addition of the black vest under the top kind of accentuates the tatters in a very nice way.
Who cares? So where we find ourselves in a mess.
The only perfect game is
Klingon.
Elden Ring? No, it's not, because the final boss
Can
of
I
the
join
DLC
in?
was mean to me,
who invited
and
you?
I have knocked it down from perfection status, but you
dunno.
cannot criticize
stay?
it on anything other than that final boss. And the fire golems. Those things suck ass. Those are the two things you are allowed to criticize Elden Ring for, and absolutely nothing else.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a lot of people's, like, almost perfect game now is in Elden Ring. Which is a good game. I've still yet to complete that game. It is a good game. I think just for me, I like a little bit more, and the game is incredibly immersive. I suppose I like a little bit more storytelling, but then I do get the beauty of when you've got a world given to you and you can find the story, but it's almost like you're in it, you know? Because if you're in a real fucking world, you know, there's not points of interest dotted around and people going, oh, hey, let me tell you about the story of old Gold down here and an old nasty Nick and you know what I mean kind of thing. But like at the same time, I do like that. But I do get like, you know, that thing of the world not telling you about itself in a way. You know what I mean?
Some people who have a very difficult time socializing in society with
didn't know
unhealthy
so,
emotional
no.
attachments to
I saw there was a girl who beat Elden Ring using like a brain though. Using like some electrodes attached to her head. I don't know if I believe that though. You know, am I like stupid? I just don't know if I believe that. Like, is that shit got that accurate that you can do that? Or has there got to be some sort of other input going on as well? I just think I'm too jaded with stuff like that. Because I remember that girl who was playing Monster Hunter who was blindfolded and she was fucking lying. You know, she was lying.
Physical things or people they don't actually know who are wanting to protect their financial investments, fighting with other people about fictional things that don't exist for fun. And it's dumb.
It's
now
fun,
look
though.
me in my eyes
It's
and
fun,
tell
though.
me you didn't just get clocked. Clocked. 8.
It's fun to watch, isn't it? It's like the circus. It's fun to watch, you know? It's like, to me, this sort of stuff in gaming, it's like when you're out in public, yeah, and you see a couple arguing. I've said this before, you see a couple arguing and it's hilarious and they're going at each other and they're just screaming at each other and it's hilarious. I think it is anyway. But then you might have a little bit of a to-do with your partner in public And never to that level, of course, like I haven't. But it's like, yeah, this shit ain't funny now. This is not funny. You know what I mean? So like for me, it's kind of just enjoyable to watch. Like it's like if he was involved in it, probably not a good time. It's funny to watch, man.
8. Go ahead and say that again. Talk your shit, King.
Miss
where
Megan
we
that did
find
it, Elden Ring
ourselves
using
in
the
a
dance
mess
man.
of
I've
some
seen that
people
one, but
who
this
have a
one
very
like
difficult
was
time socializing in society
just
with
a thing on the head, like
emotional attachments to physical things or people they don't actually know, who are wanting to protect their financial investments, fighting with other people about fictional things that don't exist for fun. And it's dumb.
Clocked. Absolutely everybody in here, clocked. Everybody watching this video, clocked. Go off. King.
Oh gosh. Finally got that off my chest. But look, I don't want to be part of the problem. I'm not going to be somebody who's going to just sit here and bitch about it and complain, because I want to actually offer something.
Okay.
I want to offer
Do
some
it.
solutions here. What can we do to try and change this crap?
you want to offer peace. You're gonna be like, that's gonna be like in history, you know, when like messengers were sent to a warring party to offer peace, and they were returned with the head. The head was just returned. That's what you're gonna get if you try to do that.
Okay? So dial in for a sec.
I'm dialed in. I'm locked in, if you will.
I'm a firm believer in personal responsibility, meaning you can only do what you can do, and I think you're only accountable for your own personal actions. So I got 3 new things you can try to help try and be a little bit of change in this space. First one, be constructive. Look, if you got a problem with any kind of game, event, activity, whatever it may be on a given product or community, don't just sit there and complain about it. Actually offer some solutions in return, even if they're bad ideas.
Oh, is that
Even
what
if
we're
they're
going
bad
to now?
ideas. I mean, God,
Is that what we're going to now? Fuck me now, man. Fucking bots, bro. Jesus Christ, dude. Ended up trying to sell. Yo, okay. Thinks you're gonna have to start blacklisting some shit. Jesus, bro. Is that the new wave now? These fucks ain't got, because I told you, man, most of these bots selling views. You know, some of them probably are, but most of them probably just fishing people, hoping that somebody's gonna go, oh, I want some views. I only get 2 people watching. I'd like 30. I'll pay $5.99. Oh shit, my credit card's been fucking stolen.
God forbid they actually use one of them, but I personally want to see you offer at least bad ideas, because what that shows to me is you actually care, that you actually care about wanting to see change for the game to make it better, so you're not just going to sit there and whine about it. No.
Okay.
Oh, actually, this is a total segue. Did anybody watch LOLCOW Live last night? Woo! I'm kind of tempted to watch it on stream. We should be playing video games, bro. Dude, it was... Oh my god. Oh my freaking god.
King. I agree. No, I agree. I think that there will be bad ideas that come from this concept, right? Like a lot of us don't know fucking anything about game development or game design, so we don't know what we're talking about. That's why I don't like it when people just say L take. I don't like that response to an argument.
I'd say that's an L take.
Or to an opinion, is because it's essentially that, which is like, I'm not actually
It's not.
going to engage with what was said or what the problem is. I'm just going to say I don't like it. And so it's like it's impossible to respond to. It means ultimately nothing other than I don't like what you said. And it's overall like it's just sort of unintelligent, uncritical, stupid like response. You have to actually engage with the problem to show that you care. Otherwise, you are just sort of bitching.
Nobody likes somebody who just...
I think it's okay to have a little bitch now and again. It's okay. I think you're allowed to have a bitch about something and not actually offer up a fix, you know? I think you can look at people acting wild and acting a fool and be like, dude, you know? Acting a bit of a gump there, mate, you know? And without having to be like, all right then, how does he do it better then? So I don't fucking know. I just wanted to tell you you're a cunt, you know?
sits
I
there
think
and
that's fine.
complains, but does nothing to try and help it. The
Fair.
second thing is to try and be a bit more patient.
And then again, though, I am British. We love a good moan, you know? We love a good moan. It's always good to, like, sit on the sidelines and be like, you know? Don't want to do that, do ya? And then, you know, offer no reasonings how to fix it. It's fun sometimes, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Look, I've said this
If
in
they're allowed to fucking continue to, you know, have this circus online, we can have a little whinge about it, right? Right?
previous videos, and I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah.
People are dumb.
Ew, you
And
British.
sometimes
British.
being a bit
on,
patient to
Kirkins.
explain a few things can go a long way for somebody. As
I think this is not necessarily a good.
I'm English, therefore I crave
practice.
disappointments. Dude, we are bred for it. We are bred for it. That's why our comedy is the underdog guy who always fails at everything. It's in our nature, you know? It's in our nature.
Always for some content
Ain't that the
creators
truth?
is because on the internet, when you're a content creator, you sort of aggregate people, right? You have a lot of people coming in with different perspectives and stuff. The thing is as a content creator, sometimes what ends, like a lot of times actually in my experience, people are more interested in picking you apart and breaking down your arguments in dissecting and splitting hairs to try to disprove you. They're not actually trying to have a conversation with you. They don't actually want to understand. And so I think that this is a good concept. This is a good idea only if you are able to have an understanding and boundary around if someone is not actually interested in hearing what you have to say and they just want to disagree and they just want to be sort of contrarian. You have to be able and willing to shut it down and say, this is a waste of my time. Because there are people who do just argue to argue and disagree for the sake of disagreement, and it is a waste of your time. You need to be able to say, hey,
I was going to say something then, but it's probably super sexist.
hey, dude, you're not hearing me. I'm ignoring you. I'm muting you. I'm banning you. Whatever.
I was going to say, well, that's just women, isn't it?
Shut up. I'm done. Because like there are a lot of people who just come in,
You know, start an argument in an empty room kind of thing.
to split hairs and attack you and like make you turn you around kind of thing. They're not actually trying to have
I
a
joke, I
As
kid.
long as there's somebody who's willing to listen, but we'll come back to that. I
fair.
think gacha games attract a younger audience, broadly speaking. So it's a lot of younger people bringing their naivete into the space.
Piss Mona
and
trying
they're
to take
just
shit
spewing
over.
things before they've actually had a chance to think about it. So
This is not true for me, at least on YouTube, because my YouTube has a significantly older audience. The thing is with gacha games is that they might attract some younger people because they're on mobile. However, those who are more dedicated to gacha games, who are more dedicated and active in the community, are going to tend to be older because they have more control over their own time and they will have more money to spend. There are kids who play. However, the audience of people who are more dedicated to gacha games are going to be older people in a
I'd like to see a breakdown on that if that's actually true. You know, I think that's maybe an educated assumption, I guess. You know, and logically it makes sense, but I definitely think that's an assumption. I agree that to be able to spend, which is going to probably keep you around maybe a bit longer, you know, it's going to mean people of working age probably tend to stick around to a degree. But also at the same time, I think that might be, the age might be more cultivated on your persona and what the kind of content you create, which dictates the sort of people that are coming through your little part of the gacha space. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's creators out there who do Fortnite content who probably have a kind of a more mature audience, but let's not pretend that majority of the people who are playing Fortnite aren't younger people. And then I'm not like comparing the two games, the two genres altogether, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's a total difference there. Fortnite is a game for a lot younger audience. Yeah, I'd be interested to see that, actually, if I'm honest. I think probably globally it probably is, because I would imagine in places like Asia, China, Japan, I would imagine that disproportionately it's a lot more older people, just because of the way gaming culture is over there and the laws around it, and they're the biggest spenders. So it's inevitable that there's a big portion of them are going to be adults who've got the money to spend. Yeah, I don't think you could like just say that for a fact, like, you know, which I know she's not saying that, she's just voicing her opinion, but yeah.
adults, because kids don't have as much control over how they spend their time as an adult does, because
You only
they're
gacha game
children.
kids plays
try and
Genshin.
be a little more patient and try and
There's probably an argument that there's a lot more younger kids in Genshin, yeah. I think it's because Genshin's more of a game with a gacha system, isn't it? Where a lot of other gacha games are gacha games with a game in the system, if that makes sense.
take an opportunity to explain something to someone, all right? At least try. But if that doesn't work, point 3, don't waste your time.
Okay, all right, I like point 3. Okay, all right. I was disagreeing before I had any right to disagree. That's my bad. Agreed, don't waste your fucking time.
If someone is arguing with you in bad faith,
I think they'll really trying to argue with most gacha players not to waste the time on arguments. You know, we were just talking about how you're wasting your time in gacha games. Really, I don't think it is. I'm having fun when I play games. If I don't even have fun, I'll fuck a game off at the end of the day. But I think there's a lot of people who don't, because of the sunk cost bias and the sunk cost fallacy, it was still around. So they're happy wasting their time. Like, well, they're probably not happy they're wasting the time, but they're wasting the time. So they'll probably be like, you know what, the game's fucking shit. Let me go and argue with some dude on Twitter about who's the hottest character in Genshin and why Wuthering Wave fucking sucks dick.
Or they don't actually care to learn or be constructive about something, don't bother wasting your time and engaging with that person. You know what's the best thing to do when confronted by trolls and crazy deranged people?
Shall I tell you what's the best thing to do when you're confronted by trolls? Let me show you. Oh, dude, I ain't gonna be able to find it, am I? Oh, these videos are all too long, bro. These videos are all too long. No. No. Shorts, where's the shorts? Where's the shorts filter? Alright. I was going to show you a clip of Boogie on the Lolco podcast, but the joke's gone now.
Port them, ignore them, and move on with your life.
Block, ban, mute, timeout. Big fan of hide user from channel. If you're really dumb, you're just getting hidden. I don't want to hear from you no more. Speak to the void, bitch. Don't ever let
Share back like DSP, but pretend you don't engage with them, right?
them speak to you again. They have no reason. If you are a content creator, no one has a right to speak in your space. Your platform is not a bastion of free speech.
Right, this is not a democracy. This is not a democracy.
Dum-dums. Ban them. Shut them up. They don't have a right to speak if they are so stupid that nothing comes out of their mouth other than shit. They can go bitch and have their opinions to someone and somewhere that gives a fuck. But assume that your space, your platform, be it YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever, assume that your space is your own. People do not deserve to have whatever they want to say on the platform that you built. They can go bitch on Reddit or wherever else, or on their own platform that they probably don't have. But as a content creator, mute, ban, block, hide from channel. They don't deserve to speak if they're gonna be dumb or they're gonna be disrespectful. It's a waste of time.
There is a content creator who comes to mind who perfectly falls into this category, and I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to give him the satisfaction just in case he happens to come across this video. But I know other content creator friends of mine will know who I'm talking about. And the best thing to do with those kind of people is ignore them, don't engage with them, and move on with your life. But that's not just for content creators, that's for other viewers, that's for people in the comments, that's for people on Twitter, whoever it may be. When you engage with crazy people like that, you are just feeding the beast and literally wasting your own time in life.
Yes.
Unless you're
and as well, you know, what is it? If you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss stares back.
someone like Tectone, where you're about to spin that whole thing into content and literally monetize and make money off of people being stupidly deranged, don't waste your time. Don't waste your life. You don't got a ton of it, so just use it for something better. Now,
agreed. I agree completely. Content creators who are my friends. I don't care if you're not my friend or if I don't like you, but those of you who are my friends, stop arguing with bitches on Twitter. All of you. I've seen so many of my content creator friends arguing.
Agree. I must admit, you know, exposed right now. I was a little bit bad for that back in the day, you know. I'd get on Twitter and I'd see some dude who replied on a post that had got like 5 likes and he got like 2 followers and I've got like 30 followers. And then like, you know, I'm arguing with him and I'm like genuinely invested in the argument. I'm gonna fucking prove him fucking wrong. Yeah, let me come up with all these fucking facts and opinions and all this shit and I'm gonna make him apologize. And it's just like, what am I doing? You know? What am I doing? It's kind of fun to vex people though. Hey, dude, I'm all good for fucking bait posts, you know? I respect that shit. That's why, like, I forgot his name now, man. There's a dude who I follow on Twitter. Fuck, I forgot his name. He's American, and he's all stickies that like he's a youth. I don't know if he's a youth baseball coach or a youth football coach. Some at 3 Letterman or something like that. And like, it basically just goes under people's posts, whether it's in politics or somebody like He loves to like try and wind up British people and stuff, like, you know what I mean, like coming in and being like, America's the greatest, oldest country in the world, and we invented freaking democracy and you know, some other shit, and then people are like come back and he'll just be like, you sound like the kind of person who financed the waterbed. Because that's like kind of his whole stick, and people fall for it so many times, like, and that sort of shit makes me laugh, man. But like genuinely getting invested, it's just like, you know, why bother?
Back and forth with motherfuckers who have 2 followers, both of whom are bots. Stop arguing with dumb fucks on Twitter. You are wasting your valuable time. You are wasting your valuable, like, mental health. Stop quote retweeting bitches. Stop arguing with people in replies. Stop arguing with people in your comment sections. Y'all are arguing.
Well, this is a total segue. Twitter kind of sucks nowadays in a way. It's good, but because like there's sometimes stuff happens on Twitter and I'm like, dude, how is this app still free? But like, and I understand why it's been done, because it's to monetize Twitter. But like, it kind of sucks now that, like, you know, there'll be like some funny post and then underneath it, you're like, you go, oh, let me go here for the tea, man. I want to see some funny shit. Let me get my popcorn out. Let me laugh at some of the stuff that's going on Twitter, like, you know, the replies, because that was always the best part of Twitter for me. It's all gone now, man, because it's like 50 tweets of somebody with a blue check fucking tweeting their stupid fucking video underneath it, and then another person, and then you get down to about 15 posts, and there's always that one quote, that one tweet where it's another person with a blue tick going, you can't find any actual post. I remember the days when you could find actual real comments under the post, and it's just like, I see that fucking tweet everywhere as well, like, and it's, you know, yeah, all the fucking OnlyFans promo, it fucking sucks, man, it's a shame. Because, like, and it still can be hilarious. It still can be. Like, Twitter can be fun if used in the right way. You just got to use it in the right way. Because if you don't, Twitter's a fucking cesspit, man. And, like, I must admit now, my Twitter does, when I'm on there, does seem a little bit more, I don't know. I don't know what the word is. I do seem to see a lot less crazies in regards to stuff. I don't know. Just it just doesn't seem so irritating in the same regard. But it's irritating because you just lose all that like back and forth as well. Like it's just kind of gone shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, everybody's on Twitter now because I'm like, well, if I you know, just get a blue check mark and then I just post under somebody else's post, I can make money on Twitter. Like, and it's just like, ugh, cringe.
Arguing in YouTube comment sections. Stop.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I know I probably said a few things that probably pissed off a few people, but you know, we're just having a couple of goofs and gaffs in here while we're talking about something that is like adjacently serious. It's not that serious. It's still internet at the end of the day, but you know, it does affect a lot of people and a lot of people's experience. And also, play the games that you like. Somebody else hates the game and they don't like the game that you play, but you have fun playing it. Play it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Who cares?
No one cares.
It's your life. Frickin' live it. If you made this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see y'all in the next one.
That was fantastic. This
probably could have watched the video directly, to be fair, with that one.
Go get him.
You know, we're like, what? This video's been on for like 47 minutes, and I've probably been watching it for over an hour. Probably more than that. So yeah, this is definitely not something that's going up on YouTube. We're just spitballing here on Twitch because ain't nobody watching this shit for an hour and a half. Spent most of the time just talking fucking bollocks as well, not even reacting to the video, if I'm honest.
Some fucking support, bro.
Yeah, when did that happen though? Who was the first guy? Who was the guy that started that on YouTube now? I see it so much, you know? I see it so much. What's going on, Purple? Is that you, Stutzer? Was that somebody else? You know, who was the guy who started that whole, like, style of videos? You know, the, let me disconnect my fucking mic off my boom arm and walk around my green screen kind of thing, you know? Who started that? See it a lot now. See so many creators. Not me. Oh, that's not you there. It's not you either doing that as well. See, I thought you might have started that, sort of.
Go subscribe, go like, go comment.
Yeah, let's go check his channel out, actually. Because
fantastic.
Check out Hex Juice as well. Hex Juice does make some good content. I like Hex. Final thoughts. Players abandoning Wuthering Waves for Zenley Zone 0. We need to talk about punishing Grey Raven. Oh, is this the same dude? Oh, he's just got his hair tied up. I was like, holy shit. Oh, he's at his desk now. Leave free to play alone. No. I want to watch this. No. If you're free to play, you should feel bad. Okay?
I don't normally get super
You don't deserve rights if you're free to play. Alright. The worst argument I've ever heard, Wuthering Waves. Let's check it out.
I don't normally get super heated about things, but there are certain topics that just really rub me the wrong way. And there was
To the grind your gears. To the grind your
video
gears.
that I saw recently that just set me off. And now I did do a reaction to this video on stream, but I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed with how heated I got. But I want to go in and break down some of the
Hey, you love a little bit of spice.
points that this content creator made about free-to-play content creators, particularly surrounding Wuthering Waves. In case
I bet this is going to be an exceptionally base take. I think I've seen this guy before. I think I've seen somebody else reacting to this dude.
you haven't seen it, there is this video from Plazookas. I will have the original video linked down below because look, we're still going to give credit where credit is due. He uploaded the video, so I'm still going to push people back to it. Even if I may disagree with nearly 100% of the things in this video, I still think fair is fair. But there is some ridiculous claims and accusations made in this video that I just think have to
Wild
be
takes
addressed.
coming,
Now,
yeah?
I could just address
Wild takes incoming. I'm ready.
the generalization of the video, but he says some pretty egregious statements that I think need to be addressed head on. Now, to get some of my bias out of the way, of course, I am another Wuthering Waves
Is he? I'm not even going to say it.
content creator, and I do have an alt account that is free to play. So I understand there could be a little bit of bias here, but I want to load that on the front end just to be fair. But there are still some of those statements that we're going to tackle one at a time, and I'm going to show you just how ridiculous some of these statements are and why.
I think the increase in content creation over the past 5 to 10 years
Okay.
has seen a trend to where corporations can now leverage content creators to market their products.
Yeah.
And they do it effectively.
They do. They do.
They do it
It
as
is the new way to advertise your products nowadays. It's way cheaper. It's way more prolific and it's way more impactful. You are way more likely to download a game or potentially purchase a product watching your favorite YouTuber than you are an ad or some douche on the TV telling you to do so. I agree with that for sure.
as some friendly person inside your house that is conveying this
Yep.
product
Okay.
in a way that is very appetizing, in a way that's very pleasing. And
It's
it's
relatable. It's relatable.
kind of the new wave of sales that is sweeping the entire world. And it is done in a way that is very misleading.
So the
Okay. It can be, definitely. I don't know if that's a fair statement in general. There's definitely YouTubers and content creators out there that have been very misleading about that they're actually promoting something, what they're promoting, how they came about promoting it. You know, we can go back to the Syndicate and T-Martin stuff, you know, the gambling sites, the CSGO gambling sites. We can go to just pure scams. You know, we can go to people just not even announcing they're advertising something, but they're subtly advertising something, which is obviously illegal in a lot of places. But just to say that overall is kind of disingenuous.
first thing he addresses in the video is the idea
But I'm saying that I haven't allowed him to elaborate yet. He might have some valid points that back up what he's saying in a way.
of influencer marketing. And while he definitely does have a point that influencer marketing for the online and content creation space is bigger than it has ever been before, it
That's a very good point, and it's a very valid point because it is. There's just no denying it. It is. There's a reason why, you know, some people are making insane amounts of money from sponsorships because companies understand now it's the way things are going. People will, like I say, young people especially. You've only got to see all the questions now when they're asked to kids now. You know, like when I was a kid, you ask most young lads, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, it was like, usually it was like a footballer or like, you know, I want to be a fireman or I want to be an astronaut, you know, or like, you know, whatever, insert whatever job there. Nowadays, most kids, it's not even like, I want to be an actor. It's like, I want to be a YouTuber. You know, like the YouTube sphere has become like so massive now and culturally relevant that it drives advertisements like nothing else nowadays.
Also, as not
For
previously
such a small investment as well. You know, you're investing in an individual. You're not having to invest in a network. You know what I mean?
existed in the online content creation space, but influencer marketing has always been a thing. Whether it be Shaq, who was advertising Icy Hot, or Dennis Haybert, who was advertising Allstate, or the recent collaboration of Michael Cera and Sarah V.
Sarah V. Oh, you didn't know?
There has always been some degree of celebrity marketing on products. So to act like this is something completely unique to this space, it's...
Oh, no, it's definitely not unique to the space, but it is definitely an evolution. It definitely benefits corporations way more, and I believe it also is a lot more powerful for advertising. I genuinely believe that most people will look at those sort of adverts and it won't necessarily make them purchase the product. It might make them remember the product and give brand recognition, but I definitely do think a YouTuber mentioned in a video, man, I'm a tiny YouTuber, and the amount of times I've had people in my Discord chat or in my comment section tell me that, dude, because you were playing this game, it looked really fun. I tried it out. You know, I just think that there's just way more of that on YouTube than there is in actual traditional advertising. And that's why I say a lot of companies are, you know, coming into the internet side of things, and specifically the influencer, I hate that term as well, content creator side of things. I think he's got a good point in there.
Not. Now, I will agree that the parasocial nature of it definitely makes it a little more unique than some of those other platforms.
It makes it more powerful.
But it's still not something completely new like we've never seen before.
Oh, no, definitely not.
For those who play Wuthering Waves and who do it free to play.
Disgusting. Disgusting. If you're free to play, you deserve to be in a camp, right?
Or for those who...
Based. Is that what he's going to say?
Pull on the gotcha and then get basically reimbursed by the companies. That is no different than people on welfare taking advantage of the system, even though they have the means to...
Okay, dude went way more base than I thought he was going to. Okay, let's see where this is going.
Basically work or pay for all their stuff. They just want to make more money.
Now, this statement...
Hold up. Hold the phone. Let me just get that.
For those who play Wuthering Waves and who do it free to play.
Right.
Or for those who pull on the gotcha and then get basically reimbursed by the companies.
What does he mean by that? Somebody who's free to play that... I don't know, get what it means. You pull on it and get reimbursed. You're not getting reimbursed in any of the gacha games when you're pulling on anything. Okay.
That is no different than people on welfare taking advantage of the system, even though they have the means to basically work or pay for all their stuff. They just want to make more money.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. That is... Okay, dude's gone totally... I thought he was going to come up with like some base funny takes of like, hey, if you're free to play, you fucking don't deserve human rights. You know, you should be on a watch list, etc., etc. But the dude is comparing being free to play on a gacha game is the same as being on state benefits, which is a wild comparison. But not only that, he alluded that people who are on state benefits are doing it to get more money. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people out there who can work who are just, you know, probably playing the system to a degree. Ain't nobody doing it to get fucking more money, though. Ain't nobody getting rich on benefits. Like, come on, you know?
Now, this statement about if you do not spend money on a game that you are making content on, or if you are collecting money from a game, you are...
Oh, if you're making content on it. Is he alluding to that? He didn't say that, did he? Still, wild. Wild.
Making content on is the same thing as somebody who is on welfare when they do not need to be so. It's just an absolutely absurd take that makes me so...
What if, right? What if you do it? What if you go in deep into the meta? You go free to play on Wuthering Waves, right? You go on the dole, and then you use your dole money to not buy stuff in Wuthering Waves. You go and spend it on other video games, you know? Does that you mean like you like Sith Lord level of like free to play? You know? You're using the state's money not to give the Chinese companies more money. Up here for thinking, man. Up here for thinking. You know?
Incredibly frustrated. This is somebody who can only see an exchange of value when it's in fiscal hard numbers, meaning that unless you put money into that game, you have not supported the game. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bullshit for one. I can understand maybe where these little brains come to this conclusion, you know, because I said I'm the type of person that a game's free to play. If I've played a few hours into a game, you know, say I've got 20 or 30 more hours, I kind of like. This is if there's something that entices me anyway. I do like to spend a little bit of money because I feel like I'm supporting the developer, right? All good. But to like, I forgot where I was going with that actually. Let me rewind it. Let me rewind it a second.
As somebody who is on welfare when they do not need to be so is just an absolutely absurd take that makes me so incredibly frustrated. This is somebody who can only see an exchange of value when it's in fiscal hard numbers.
Right, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. So that's just wild anyway. But just because you're free to play, especially as a content creator, I think if you're free to play on a game and you make content on a game, you are spreading awareness about that game as well, which is going to potentially make other people go, yo, this game looks cool. Want to check it out? I'm going to download that. Maybe they become a paying customer. There's even this argument to be made when it comes to people pirating video games. Okay, hear me out a second. And there was a dev talking about this not long ago where they obviously didn't want, they were saying that they didn't really want people pirating the game, but they also understood it, that there's people who can't actually get access to their games and that somebody pirating a video game isn't always a loss of revenue because that person was more than likely never going to buy that game. But that person might also go on to tell people about this game, which will then create a word of mouth where other people might potentially buy the game. And some people will pirate a game, enjoy a game, and then buy a game. Now, I'm not condoning people go out and pirate video games, you know? I'm not saying that. But, you know, it even goes to that level that just because somebody's not paying in the game, they're not kind of supporting the developers, so to speak. Unless you're just going into your man cave and never speaking to anybody else about a video game ever. Even then, the game's there for you to play it for free. You know, that's a conscious decision by this company, knowing full well that they're going to make enough money back. The welfare system comparison, though, is just like crazy.
Meaning that unless you put money into that game, you have not supported the game. That's just ridiculous. Value can also be exchanged in multiple ways, and one of those ways being marketing and advertising. If an influencer has a catered platform of a specific targeted audience, and then you pay that content creator to make content on your game to advertise it to their audience, that has a ridiculous amount of value to the—
Exactly. This goes back to the idea of content creators being really good vehicles for advertisement nowadays. Of course, if you're making a game that's free to play and you've got in-game microtransaction, let's say, right? Are you going to turn down somebody like Asmongold playing your game and never playing a penny on your game? Never spending a penny in your game? Like, are you really? Asmongold comes along and goes, I'd like to play your video game. And you go, no, you're not going to spend any money on it. I don't care if 40,000 people are watching you play it. You know, that's just stupid logic, really. At the end of the day, more than likely, most content creators aren't free to play anyway. And even if they are on an account, they've got another account that's not free to play. But even if they are, they're advertising it to so many more people that are potentially not going to be free to play.
The company. So they're not just leeching from the company. They're exchanging a service.
Even if you're not, it's not leeching from the company. If the company give it a free to play game that is free to play, and you, like I say, you literally go and play a game in a fucking cave on the top of a mountain, they've provided a service that they think is a fair value to swap in the hopes that you might potentially become a paying customer. And at the end of the day, the smaller minority of people who do pay are funding the rest of it. And that's the whole business model. It's understood that that's the way it's going to be.
For doing that. That is not the same thing as sucking money out of welfare. He also just set up a world that basically doesn't even exist. The points that he—
I suppose that's where he's come to that conclusion, isn't he? He's like, all these fucking rich people paying the taxes, man. You know, you being on the dole's no different than you fucking playing the game free to play. That guy who's just spent £2,000 on the game, he's funding your habits.
He makes about being reimbursed by the company or being paid by the company to do pulls isn't really something that exists. This is something that has been verified by other content creators like Tectone, who's talked about that the most you would generally...
Yeah, I think that's typically kind of one of the conspiracy theories in gaming that, you know, people think that, like, because I've seen that when people get good pulls and people are like, oh, there's somebody sitting there watching the stream pressing a button on the back end.
See in that space is in some small occasions you would be given a stipend to pull, but rarely has it ever been that the amount that you are given as a stipend is going to cover the full amount of pulls you're going to do on the stream anyway. And that's not even considering the fact that content creators are obligated to say when something is an ad. If you are sponsored on stream or sponsored in a video, you have to disclose that it is an advertisement. If somebody's not disclosing an advertisement, that's a complete...
Let's not pretend though that that has been a thing, you know? The rules have changed a lot, but let's not pretend that still to this day, there aren't people who do that. There are. So like I say, going back to what he said initially is kind of valid in the sense that there are people that do that, you know? Like I say, the whole CSGO Lotto, perfect example. You know, T Martin and Syndicate put out videos. Oh, look at this. I've just found this website where, yo, you can gamble CSGO skins and, oh, whoa, I've just won this cool skin. Who'd have thunk it? By the way, I own the site, but I'm not going to tell you guys that, you know? Like, and actually, I'm using, like, the company side of things, and I can dictate what I'm going to get, but I'm not telling you that, you know? So that is a thing that happens.
Completely different problem, and of course, something that somebody should not be doing. But if somebody's disclosing that as an advertisement, then there is still an exchange of service, and both parties are getting value out of it. Yeah. Because remember, the stipend exists for you to pull more so that your audience gets excited about the pulls, and so they want to go play the game and pull more, thereby hopefully making the company more money.
Games...
All right, back to the cinema.
Do not make themselves.
Whoa,
Free
what?
to play games are not cheap.
That's hot take.
To make. And yet, they don't ask anything up front. When you have to go and pay $30 to see a movie or $50 to go bowling.
Now, I agree in theory in what he's saying here. This is why I said I don't mind there being crap tons of microtransactions in free-to-play games. I don't. It's the only microtransactions I have an issue with in free-to-play games where a game has either a set of mechanics or a style of content, and it's either changed or removed to make the game worse for you to be able to buy to make the game, you know, to add that back into game or to make the game fun again. You know, they actually actively make the game worse to get you to purchase this thing. Now, I know people will argue, well, that's all the games, you know. If you've got you know, an XP booster, or you've got this you know, this character that you can buy, like gacha games you can pull for, but they don't necessarily affect the base of the actual game itself, apart from, like, you know, things like stamina and wave plates and all that sort of stuff, where that's the daily aspect that comes into it, and, you know, time-gated games, but that's a totally different kettle of fish in my opinion. I don't mind there being 500 skins in the store day one, and them being £150 a pop. If somebody wants to pay £150 for the skin, then fucking fair play. Like, I remember when Valorant first came out, and you remember when you know, because Valorant skins are expensive, and, you know, I remember when the skins started first coming out, and I remember Angry Joe, I like Angry Joe, and he made a video and he was going fucking mental about the prices of the skins, where to me, I didn't get it. I didn't get that. Because I was like, you don't have to buy the skins. You can buy the battle pass and get some of the cheaper skins. But if you desperately want a skin and you're willing to pay, I don't know, 30 quid for a skin or £100 plus for the bundle of skins, then I think that's totally fine for a game that's free to play. You know, because it doesn't affect the game at all in the slightest. So, like I say, I can kind of understand what he's saying there. But games that are free to play do kind of expect something from you as a free to play player. You know, they expect your time, really. And I know in gacha games it's a little bit different because they don't necessarily stifle your progression. It's a different kind of element to the game. You know, it's more about collecting your waifus and collecting your characters, which can, in the end, affect end game progression, but it's not necessarily like you're getting time gated or we're gonna stop you playing this, or if you give us like £5 now, you can carry on playing the game kind of thing. It's not really that.
There are games out there that are literally allowing you to come into their environment and play them. And now after playing Honkai Star Rail and games like Wuthering Waves,
I must remember that then, that Epic have just been providing a charity for the last few years with Fortnite, haven't they? So it's, you know, Genshin, they ain't been making like, you know, what, 150 million a year or something on good years, on good months. Might not be that much actually, but they're still making what, like $30 million a month in China. Like, you know, I must remember that. Damn, man, how dare you play the game for free? Because they're just getting by, man. They're struggling.
I have to admit, these games are complete packages, and they do not overly advertise their monetization schemes. It's there if you...
That's a lie. Now, if he's specifically talking about Wuthering Waves here, then that's a fair comment. That is a fair comment. But most free-to-play games do this. Well, freaking hell, most paid games now that have got a live service aspect to do. But most free-to-play games do typically start off with, you get into the game with gacha games, they show you how the pool system works, and then it kind of directs you to the pools, and i.e. the shop. Even take on Solo Leveling Arise. I like Solo Leveling Arise. The one thing I don't like about that game, though, it feels like every fucking 5 minutes, it's like, go to the shop, go to the shop. Hey, do you want a couple of gems? Just go in the shop and have a look in the shop. You ain't got to buy nothing, but we just have a look in the shop kind of thing, and we'll give you a couple of gems. Like, it's just like, so the idea that these games don't do that, that's a bit disingenuous.
You want to pay, it's not if you don't.
The amount that a game costs to make has no value or weight on the consumer for how much money you choose to spend on that thing. And what I mean by that...
It's not our fault that development has become bloated in video games nowadays. And even if it hasn't become bloated, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. When I'm buying Call of Duty, I don't give a fuck if they spend $300 million on the video game. You know, that's up to them. I don't care if they employ 5,000 people. Who cares? The game's shit, you know, it's going to get roasted, isn't it? You know, if a free-to-play game, you start playing it, and after 50 hours, you're like, you know what, I'm checking out. So what? At the end of the day, they designed it. That's how they wanted the game to be played, you know? Otherwise, they'd have just made it a paid game off the bat. If that's the case, why don't they do that? Do you know why they don't do that? Because it won't be so successful, and they'll make a lot less money, and they know that. So the idea that you're leeching is ridiculous.
That is, if a company chooses to either take a standard pricing model of, let's say, $80 a game versus a free-to-play model.
$80 a game standard pricing model. That's a little, isn't it like 70 now, 60? I think it's more 70 with some of the AAAs, but it's 60 typically, isn't it? 40, 50 quid.
Model where there's opportunity to spend in the game, regardless the path the company takes, does not change your moral obligation for spending money on said game, whether you choose to skip it entirely or choose not to spend on that game. And no doubt that these games take a lot of money to develop. There's been some growing issues in the industry overall with how these companies are being structured and how much money and investment they're willing to put into it, because they're putting too much money into the development of these games so that they have to recoup an even greater amount.
And a lot of that comes from the initial advertisement for video games. It's got to be how a game looks. It's got to be more flashy. There's got to be more bells and whistles. That's the only thing that's going to catch people's eye. It's less about the gameplay and it's more about the pizzazz. And that's why games are costing so much more money to make now. That's why sometimes indie developers are absolutely crushing the AAA industry, because at the end of the day, art style over graphics and gameplay over everything. And the AAA industry has been struggling with that deal for a long time, and thinking that, well, the way we get sales is we make the game look pretty. We do a really cool trailer, and it works to a degree. That's why you get so many games failing in regards to what the investors think, because it's cost them 300 million to make, and they only sell like 200 million's worth of copies within the first 12 months. That's a failure for a game. If you're going to hope that you're going to recoup that later on, if the game's failed publicly then as well, it's just not going to happen. Where if you go free to play, for the most part, a lot of these games, it's a lot more risky, of course, and you've got to factor that cost in and understand that in a way, it's almost seen as a total loss initially, but there's a potential for it to be massive, isn't there?
Amount of cost, which then leads to unfriendly pricing models for consumers. But I want
as well, I disagree with that as well. I know a lot of people like to moan about the price of video games nowadays, yeah, and I understand that we get all these different editions and such, but I think in a way, hear me out, hot take, I'm not massively got a problem with that. Because at the end of the day, it's up to you. If you need to get the game 2 days early and you want to spend 90 quid instead of 50 quid, that's on you. If you need to get the fucking art book, then that's on you. But with inflation and the way most things have gone up in prices, video games really haven't. The cost of developing games has gone up massively, astronomically, and the cost of everything has gone up. But video games have stayed quite stagnant, haven't they? I think in dollars, I think if you adjusted everything for inflation, I think video games really should cost around about $120. I could be wrong there. I'm going off my shitty memory. But I think if you do adjust for the actual cost of inflation, it should be more around those sort of numbers, shouldn't it? So I don't think it's necessarily totally unfair when game companies are like, right, how do we try and make a little bit of extra money here? Tell you what, we'll launch it on the 15th, but what we'll do is we'll actually launch it on the 18th. We'll charge people a little bit extra to play it on the 15th. And if they're stupid enough to pay 40 quid extra to play the game 3 days early, that's on them, isn't it, really? You know, and then actually what we'll do that edition, but then we'll send them some stickers and an art book, and we'll send them in a little email with our toes, you know, and then we'll charge them an extra 20 quid. And then if they buy that, that's on them, isn't it? And it is really, isn't it, at the end of the day? You know, if you just want the game, you can get the game for pretty much standard price for the most part. I know we've started to see games creeping up into this $70, £60 area recently. But we also have just gone through an insane, massive inflation surge, haven't we, as well? And the cost of living has gone fucking right up in the last couple of years in comparison to over the last 2 decades.
I want to be clear about something when it comes to free-to-play games. Free-to-play games are not charity. It's not done in a sense so that they can just be nice and give something back to the consumer. It's so that they can make more money, ideally from the player base. Let me just show you with an example. Yeah, I've got Notepad out, just freaking deal with it. Let's say you've got a standard model of pricing for a game that's for 1,000 people, and the price for that game is $80 per game. Well, if you've got 1,000 people and they all buy this copy of this game, the company has now sold $80,000 worth. Now, we're not going to get into the additional fees and how much has been taken off for distribution or anything like that. We're just going to use flat numbers here for an example. Okay. But on the standard pricing model, they've now made $80,000. Now let's pivot over to a free-to-play model for gaming revenue per 1,000 people. Now let's be generous and let's say 60% of the player base is completely free-to-play. They don't spend a single dollar. Well, in that case, that's going to be 600 people. Maybe an additional 30%, maybe they're light spenders. Maybe they're your monthly pass holders or your battle.
I think the point he's going to get to here is that it is with, like, especially gacha games, a lot of free-to-play games. It's usually like the small percentile that are spending enough that covers the rest of it in a way. You know, if you've got a big enough catch with your free-to-play game, you've got millions, you know, let's take Genshin, Fortnite, you've got millions of people playing it, you know, phenomenal success. You only need potentially tens of thousands of people out of that to spend moderately big, and then you only need another, I don't know, 100, 200,000, 300,000 people spending small amounts. You're making a lot of freaking money, you know? That's why with a free-to-play model, you can cast this massive net, and majority of it's in shallow waters, but now and again you'll hit some deep pockets, and that's where you'll make your money, you know? And the potential, the initial sales proposition might seem much lower, but the ceiling's just infinite, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Battle Pass buyers, and they're spending more along the lines of about $20 a month. That equates to about $6,000. Then on top of that, let's say you've got a little bit above your light spenders and your maybe average pack buyers.
That's why it's smart to have things like Genshin, Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, have, you know, where you got like these Asteroid monthly things where it's like $4.99 a month. Like, I've been paying for that every month in Wuthering Waves. You know what I mean? And if somebody does that for a year, they spent more on a game in a year than they would just buying the game straight out, haven't they, really? You know? Well, for the most part anyway, depending on the price of the game. If it's a full price game, probably around about the same sort of, well, you're talking what? £5 a year, £5 a month, 12 months, what's that? 60 freaking quid, you know? So that's a price of a full price game. And then likelihood is if you're willing to spend that £5 a month, you've probably dabbled here and there as well. So you're probably initially, even if you're like a small spender, because that's a small spender really, you've spent what you would have on a AAA game. Obviously, they then need to hold you for that year, but that's why you have consistent content down there, because that's the deal. They get you in, and then they want to keep you on that cycle of little spending here and there, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit, and then that hope for that dude here and there comes in who's just like fucking throwing his credit card at it like.
This is probably going to be an even smaller percentage, let's say like 8%. So about 80 people of that 1,000 are maybe buying a handful of packs, about $200 per person, making about $16,000. But I ran the numbers doing an estimation on whales, and whales in gacha gaming equate to about 2% of the average player base for any given game. Now, we've been able to see from the JP server incident that we've been able to see that people are spending about $3,000-ish on the whale side, which I would say is probably a fairly reasonable amount to average out there. So if we say that about that 2%, 20 people are spending about $3,000 each whaling on the game, that is $60,000 on that game, bringing it up to a grand total of $82,000. Now, that alone, from the same group of 1,000 people, you're still going to be making more on a free-to-play game model. But that doesn't even account for that these games operate as a live service game, meaning the majority of these numbers are going to be recurring to some degree. They're
going to be recurring, but you've also got to take into account as well, if this is comparing it to like a one-time sale single-player game or something, you've also got to increase the cost of continuing a live service game. But his point is valid, you know, they're reoccurring. You know, there's going to be probably, let's say, drop the percentages again of reoccurring players. So yeah, it's just, you know, again, like I said, the net's going to be wider, but in the end, it's going to be deeper, isn't it?
People who are buying the daily and battle passes for sure are going to be the average the pack buyers are probably going to be similar. And then the whales, at least a small percentage of them will be coming back as well, because especially when it comes to gacha games, new patches bring new characters, which brings new money into the game. So whereas the first game that's built off the standard price,
it's true, really. Like when you think about it, every character is like a relaunch, isn't he? You know, especially in Genshin and Honkai, it's like, right, every time we get a big banner, this is like a soft launch of the game over and over and over and over again. And now Genshin's been doing it for what, 4 years? We're at what, is it year 2 of Honkai Star Rail? You know, it's just money printing machine.
Model that is only going to be a one-time purchase, where you've now created a recurring business model where you can earn exponentially more in doing that. That's why these companies do free-to-play pricing models, because while yes, it is a gamble to get people to spend, when they do, the returns can be ridiculously high. Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact, as well as the other Hoyoverse games.
The ceiling is almost infinite, and then if you add in the gambling element to it, not just the extra transactions, the fact that people can lose and have to keep going, it's infinite, isn't it?
Games are not the only games making millions of dollars a month. Other games like Nikke, Muma Usume, a lot of other gacha games are making millions of dollars a month, if not in the high hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is still way more than you would expect from a
well, yeah, I think, what is it? So I think this is on a monthly estimate, yeah. So the total revenue of the listed gacha games is 586 million. So we're talking $500 million in 1 month, and that's down 10%. Total downloads are down 50%. You know? This is latest, it's for June, right? So yeah, these guys are definitely not charities, that's for sure. You know, even if we go all the way down the list, okay, let's go to where we're at. A lot of games, you're still looking at 1.4 million. You know, another Eden, never heard of it. Langrisa, whatever it is, Langrisa, never heard of it. 1.3 million. You know, these games are doing fine. These games are doing fine. So yeah, if you're playing Honkai Star Rail for free, you disgust me. Disgusts me.
Standard price.
Why don't you just go and
so we
why
need
don't
to stop.
why don't you just go and have 5 kids and fucking get on benefits, you piece of trash?
Stop talking about free to play like it's a charity or a service that's being handed out. It is a calculated business decision.
Yep.
So stop trying to stand on the morality of that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is specifically
the idea that
directed.
The idea that corporations are going to give out charity. Jesus Christ. You're talking to a lot of these places don't even want to pay their employees proper wages. You know, They're not going to give out charity for the customers.
Yeah, content creators who play, who advertise this game, saying they're free to play.
What do you reckon that got him to this conclusion? Do you reckon he spent a decent amount of money, filed a bunch of 50-50s, didn't get any copies, got fucking trash pulls, hasn't been able to get the weapons yet because he's burnt through a bunch of his cash, went on Twitch and saw somebody like pump, banner after banner, getting the 50-50, not even getting hard pity, and this dude was just like, fuck these freeloaders, bro.
Pulling on things even though they don't say they're sponsored or they're going to get reimbursed in the back end. You are deplorable.
Oh, shit.
You are no different than a succubus or a hellish being that consumes
deplorable.
Everything.
Is this dude Hillary Clinton?
Absolute reason or the equivalent to what a big corporation does for maximizing their profits. There's no difference.
Wait, so he's accusing content creators who are free to play who might get reimbursed by a corporation, even though we know that's not necessarily the case that they get reimbursed in that sense. They might get paid to sponsor, to do pulls potentially, or just play the game. But he's comparing that to said corporations who are making a shit ton of money. But if you do that to the said corporations, you're no different than somebody who's scrounging off the government. It's like he doesn't know what he wants there. The companies are bad because they're making shit tons of money. But you should give the companies money because that makes you're bad if you don't. What?
Here.
Now, when the Bobby Kotick and Succubus line comes out, I'm not gonna lie, it really pissed me off. That was a statement that really rubbed me the wrong way because I think it's absurd to be making that kind of equivalency of calling a content creator who's doing a free.
I want to get too mad about it, dude. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny if I'm honest. It's kind of funny. I won't get mad about it. Dude's a dickhead. He's talking shit, but it's kind of funny.
To play run on a game, the same thing as Bobby Kotick or a gaming executive trying to milk the player base for everything they are. That it can only be said by somebody who has a very narrow perception of how value can be exchanged in business, and that unless you are putting your own money in, you are not benefiting that cause. It's just legitimately ridiculous, and it's somebody who doesn't understand marketing, targeted advertising.
You know, exactly. It's like why do companies give out testers in like grocery stores? You know, when you see that, you know, the people that are hanging around, like they got like bits of cheese or whatever, and they got these little drinks. You know, they're giving that out for free. Are you a mulcher if you do that? You know, are you leeching? You know, even if you don't buy them, do you know what you might do? You might go home and say, oh, you know, when I was in Asda today, they had these lovely little things, and man, they was gorgeous, and they might be like, oh, what was that called? And you'd be like, oh, I don't know, fucking Dilly Me Dally drink or some shit, and you're like, oh, you know, and then they're in Asda next time, and they're like, oh, that's that Dilly Me Dally that Elk was on about. I'll go buy some of that. You know what I mean?
And
that's exactly what it's designed to do.
Influencers offer, and I'm not even trying to say myself in this case. And
that's copyrighted as well. I don't want to hear anybody coming out with a drink called Dilly Me Dally.
Just saying in general, there are a lot of content creators that have a very valuable audience that a lot of gaming companies would love to have their games placed in front of.
If your job is content creation and you're playing a game, yes, you should support it. You should not ask for anything in return, because the reason why you're playing that game,
dude's getting that pissed off, he's frothing at the mouth,
is because you enjoy it, because that's all your videos.
Disagree. At the end of the day, unless you're like a professional top 1% of the 1% in a video game, the video game is not the thing that is making the content creator successful, at least in the long run. A game might attract people, you know, a new game might attract some people to come in to be like, oh, this guy's playing this game, you know, I don't know who he is, but the game, I wanted to check this game out because I'm thinking about buying it, or I'm thinking about downloading. I just want to see if it's any good, you know, or a new content update or something like that. But beyond that, you won't stick around and keep coming back to that content creator unless they're entertaining or they've got something that you know, feels like worth spending your time in there, whether it could be the community. You know, I've stayed around in content creators chats before because the community is awesome, and it's, you know, the content creator is just a little bit of background noise. You're there for the chat. Not many people stick around for the game unless, like I say, it's that top 1% of players where you're like, dude, you know, the dude's so good at the game. you want to watch the game. But then at that point, you're there for that person being so good at the game, not necessarily the game, you know? So, like, it's like kind of saying that, like, you owe the game your living, really, which I know some people will, like, look back when they've been really successful in content creation on a particular game and feel like they owe the game something. But that's usually more from the point that they've had so many good times because of the game, not so much that they've got an audience, you know? And I'm not denying that some people do switch games and their audience drops off, but I'd argue that's because that person isn't able to pivot and isn't as entertaining as their audience require. There's plenty of people out there that jump from game to game to game and their audience doesn't drop because they're entertaining at the core of it, aren't they?
And yet I surmise that you don't enjoy it, that this is just a job.
That's fine as well. I ain't got an issue with somebody shilling a game, if I'm honest. If they're playing a game and they hate the game, but the stream's not depressing and they don't necessarily show that they hate the game, but they're still entertaining to watch, nothing wrong with that. It's an entertainment gig at the end of the day. You know, YouTubers and content creators are not primarily advertising portals for companies. They become that, and they become really good at it because they're targeted, like, you know, they're targeted advertisements without the company having to do all this research into targeting their customer base. They can go to a big streamer who plays this particular game and know that the audience are going to be somewhat interested in that particular thing. But at the end of the day, they're entertainers, you know. That's what they're there to do.
And therefore, you're no different than a salesperson. And therefore, you're no different than...
Okay, so are salespeople terrible people now? Obviously, cold callers are a pain in the ass, but they're just doing their job, you know? What the fuck, dude? You know?
Bobby Kotick, or any of the other executives that exist in these companies that are...
Dude, I'm getting triggered by that white bit of spit that he's got on his lip now.
...are only there for profit. And I think that people need to be aware of that. I think
that's what it is as well, Kat. I also think it's... on a light-hearted note, like I says, the dude's been putting money into the game, got shit pulls, lost all his 50-50s, then gone into someone's Twitch channel who's paying free to play, and they've just pulled all the banners that he wasn't able to get, and the dude's fuming about it. He's steaming, you know? And he's like, fuck these leeches, man. I wanted Gian, and I couldn't even get him. I failed my 50-50. I failed my last 50-50. I spent 200 quid to get the character I wanted to get, and these cunts just got it for free.
People need to understand that. They're not your friends. Content creators are not your friends. Some of them actually are gamers that really want to play the game, that really support video games as a hobby. And some people are there just to consume for content to make money.
Okay, I don't even think it's spit now. He's had a piece of food because he's moved from this side of his lip over to this side of his lip now.
I can't tell you
I think he just swallowed it. What
the difference is, but there are plenty of people who are covering Wuthering Waves that are of that ilk, and there's other content creators who are genuine and actually do care about video game development.
Okay.
And that's fair. I think there are content creators like that, but at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares? You know, if the person that you're watching is entertaining, who cares if they hate the game they're playing? You know? Like, let's not pretend that we as gamers sometimes don't get stuck in a rut of playing a game that we're like, dude, I'm like over this game, but like I've just got time investment, and every time I get on it, it fucks me off, and I don't enjoy myself, but you come back to it. What is it wrong that if a content creator does that and they're getting paid to do it, you know? How many people hate the job? Should they just quit? Well, dude, fucking quit, man. You don't like your job, quit. You should quit. You ain't supporting your boss. You ain't supporting your line manager. You know, he needed your help today and you clocked off at 5 o'clock. You should quit.
Yeah, I'm going to try really hard not to be really pissed off on this next part, but the gaming gatekeeping line is something that also really set me off, because who is he to decide what content creators are actually enjoying playing games and making gaming content versus
there is that. And even if they don't, who cares?
Those just trying to exploit for money, which again, already addressing earlier, is not even fully relevant. I think it's an absolutely ridiculous claim to make, especially when you don't have the backbone to actually throw out any claims. You're going to throw out some veiled subtweet saying, there are some content creators that I don't think are actually into it, and you only...
And I bet, yeah, the content creators that he thinks are actually gamers are just people who he likes, you know? It's just people who he likes. He's got no reason to think that they're actually the people that like the game. He's just like, well, I like this guy. You know, he's all right, man. But this guy, yeah, he fucking don't even like this game.
See this as a job, and that's a problem. You have the audacity to say something like that without actually following up. That's just absurd. It's a kind of moral grandstanding because he then follows up with equating himself to being one of those real gamers, one of those real content creators that genuinely appreciates gaming. And while I think there are people who do, I think it's ridiculous to try and be the gatekeeper and authority to decide who those people are by even...
And even if they are, like, who cares? As I said again, like, you know, you got Streamer A, they're playing Call of Duty. They love Call of Duty. They absolutely love the game. And then, you know, when they're off streaming, they play Call of Duty. Totally fine. Then you got Streamer B. He fucking hates Call of Duty. He hated it years ago. In fact, he might never have even liked the game. But he plays it on stream, and when he gets off stream, guess what? He's not playing Call of Duty. Well, hey, they've both got audiences. What's probably the common denominator here? They're probably entertaining. So does it matter to the audience? The audience are getting a transaction. If they're getting an enjoyable, entertaining stream, whether or not that person in the head thinks Call of Duty sucks balls, man, I hate it. You know, it's... Who cares?
Having the audacity to make the claim. It's just absurd. And I can't believe somebody would actually do that. He calls those content creators deplorable, and the only thing that I can see is deplorable in this video is you having the audacity to call those content creators deplorable.
I'll tell you what's deplorable. Whatever the fuck was on his lip, that's what's deplorable, dude. And the dude swallowed that shit. Don't know what the fuck that was.
It's a pretty crazy...
Looked like it might have been a tonsil stone or some shit.
Crazy example of friendly fire in content creation. About somebody just trying to cause drama.
Dude hocked that shit up. It was rolling around on his mouth, and then he was just like, fuck. You know?
Out of nothing. Especially when you consider that free-to-play players exist. As we looked at in our previous numbers, there's going to be a large population of free-to-play players. Those free-to-play players love to see...
Once again, though, if you're free to play, you deserve to be in a camp, shipped off somewhere, put on a boat. I don't know, but you don't deserve rights.
Content on free-to-play...
Or even I won't say you're like somebody on the dole. Jesus, man, that's taking the piss.
Games and on other free-to-play accounts. It's something that they enjoy consuming. They want to learn from in some cases, especially when it comes to guide makers who are making guides for free-to-play players. That it's
you know what? I don't even see it needs to be justified at all. Like, if a content creator is making millions of dollars every single stream off a game that they just don't want to spend money on, that's fine.
Valuable service of infotainment in some cases, or just genuine entertainment. So why are we trying to pretend like that player base doesn't exist, and so the content that these people make is of any less value for doing so, especially when it is not double dipping because of the platform that they are providing? And also, even if they were double dipping, I don't see that as an issue anyway.
There is not a free-to-play game that I've played in the past 20 years that I have not eventually supported. Period. I never play a game completely free to play because I actually think it is the issue with the industry.
So you've never played a game? Wait a minute, let me just go back to just get what he said there.
Because of the platform that they are providing. And also, even if they were double dipping, I don't see that as an issue anyway.
There is not a free-to-play game that I've played in the past 20 years.
Okay, that's got to be cap. That's got to be capped straight there, right? You know? That's just got to be capped. So you're telling me every single, like, this dude's like, you know, never played a free-to-play game where he's been like, you know what, this is kind of trash, actually. Not a fan of this at all. Not feeling it. Not going to play anymore, you know? Or it's just kind of mid. You know, you can't tell me every fucking free-to-play game he's played he's been like, oh, banger, got to put money on this.
That I have not eventually supported. Period. I never play a game completely free to play.
All right, Neil.
Because I actually think it is the issue with the industry. Games are cheaper than most other hobbies, period. And most...
I agree with that. They are for the most part cheaper than most other hobbies, unless your hobby's walking, you know, or going for jogs, then yeah.
Likely games will increase in price in the next year or two, guaranteed, especially with GTA 6 on the horizon.
And guess what? That's not going to be down to free-to-play games. That's going to be down to the unsustainable model of the AAA space, and that's got nothing to do with free-to-play games. That's games that have budgets of $300, $400, $500 million, spend hundreds of $millions on advertising, have to make the game look so amazing that they just waste so many resources on animations and graphics, and then the game's not very good at its heart, and it flops. That's what's going to push the price of games up. Not free-to-play games that might cost $100 million and make $1 billion over the space of 5 years. What's going to push the price up is the unsustainable AAA design of games coming out and costing people 50 quid, but they're absolutely trash because they've spent all the money on trying to look flashy and there's no substance there. You know, how many games can we name of late that have been like that? Do you know what I mean? And free to play is not the problem there at the end of the day.
It is going to be a milestone. It's going to be a new trend, a new wave of increase, in my opinion, whether it be base product or all their other different options.
When he starts talking about how gaming is cheaper than most other hobbies, it is the biggest red herring I've ever seen in an argument, because the cost of a hobby is completely irrelevant to the amount that you should be paying into said hobby. There is zero expectation on the participant in doing that, especially when the exchange here is something that the company has willingly entered into.
It's all about the value proposition at the end of the day as well. Like I said, when it comes to free-to-play games, when it comes to going out, when it comes to if you spend a lot of money on clothes, do you enjoy it? Are you getting something out of it? That's it then, man. It was worth it.
And chosen to take the gamble on their pricing model. There is zero moral obligation to do so. Let me reiterate too, just so we're clear here. I don't think there's anything wrong with spending money. No, man, you said free-to-plays need to get in a camp on it. Oh, sorry, my bad. On gacha games, especially if it is something that you are spending a lot of time on and you've gotten a lot of value out of. If you want to spend money in a way to give back to the company who has created the product, that is completely fine. But also, if somebody chooses not to, I'm still not going to stand there and say, how dare you for not doing that, because it's still the gamble that the company chose to take. I personally do put a little bit of money into gacha games. I buy the daily pass, I buy the battle pass. That's all I've paid for so far. But that does not make me any more moral or important than somebody else who is elected to do a free-to-play playthrough. I also think it's ridiculous.
It does, my fellow special player. It makes you much more special than those peasantry free-to-players.
That then he equates that the free-to-play content creators are the cause for game prices going up. Like, we can look at game pricing charts for over the last decades, and games have been going up fairly consistently. And again, I think the root problem there is the amount that these companies...
I don't think they have really been going up fairly consistency if you take into inflation. And two, a game that's free, how the fuck is it getting more expensive? It's free. There's a zero cost entrance anyway. Yeah, the purchases in the game might get more expensive. But as again, as I said, the reason why games are potentially going to get more expensive is the unsustainable way that the AAA industry runs the games.
Companies are investing into the development of these games, so they need to make back more, so they are raising their costs. That has nothing to do with a free-to-play content creator choosing to not spend money personally and make content on free-to-play games.
Maybe I'm wrong.
You are.
Maybe I'm right.
No, Plazoo.
You have a wrong opinion.
Because you're definitely wrong. You're definitely wrong in this case. As I said before, I think this is one of the worst examples of friendly fire I've seen in content creation. To throw jabs at other free-to-play content creators for doing so, I just think is ridiculous. And I don't know why somebody would come out of the woodwork to try and start causing conflict with doing so. I just want to...
Because dude's annoyed that somebody who's free to play is probably getting better banner pulls than him and has probably got 100 times the amount of success he's ever had in content creation as well. I think that's what it boils down to. That's what it boils down to. He's seeing content creators out there who are doing well because they're entertaining, they're free to play. And a lot of these content creators who do free to play stuff anyway, they've usually been buyers at some point. They're just doing it as a thing that they're playing in that particular game. I'm totally free to play this time. This is my free to play account kind of thing. They're never usually totally free to play. Some might be, but for the most part, they're not. But they're there because they're entertaining. And like I said, he's looking at that going, well, I spend money on this game and nobody wants to watch fucking me. What's the problem? And it's got to be some conspiracy where these guys are leeching off the system, and the system that they're leeching off is also paying them to leech off the system. And I don't think they should be able to leech off the system, but at the same time, they're no better than the corporation that they're leeching off that just wants to make money. What?
Any free-to-play players, free-to-play content creators, anybody who's been seeing this video circulating around and say, just ignore it. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I hope I've shown you why that is the case today. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate you. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
That was a good video. Them are the sort of videos that I definitely don't think you should ignore, man. You know, you shouldn't take too seriously. You know, everybody saying it was like pissing him off and stuff. Yeah, don't let it piss you off. Like, I think the dude was funny, you know? Like, it's funny, like, stuff like that. I like to laugh at, you know what I mean? It's stupid people saying stupid stuff, and stupid people are funny. At the end of the day, you just shouldn't get too invested in it and get angry about it and be like, you know, I'm offended by that. Like, you know, it's obvious and evident that that guy's talking shit. And all of his points, apart from that content creators are really good vehicles for advertising were just bad takes. Everything else was just like, yeah, man, real bad takes. Funny video though. Kind of want to go and check out his channel if I'm honest. What's his channel? Ah, he's deleted the video.
I don't normally get super heated.
What's his name? Plazookas. Is this him? There we go. That's a creepy thumbnail.
Hello, YouTube. My name is Plazookas, and I wanted to.
Who'd have thought he's only got a small channel? Makes sense, and that's why a lot of his. Should moderators be paid during sponsored streams? Apparently not. Go on then.
Hello, YouTube. My name is Plazookas. Today's video is going to harken back to the beginning of my channel 2 months ago when I talked about how content creators who are free to play are basically taking advantage of the system. And then somebody's like, well, what do you expect them to do? Not get paid? You know, they're supposed to, there's their job. They're going to get paid. And there was this whole pushback, and then the editor situation that happened with Gotcha Smack. But the one thing that was unresolved is the mods. And I think today's video on Tektone's stream highlights.
If you don't pay your moderators, then you may as well be on benefits. Just saying it.
What mods
You are deplorable.
actually have to do for channels like Tektone. And in this video, he's basically going to say, hey, mods, you need to stick around for every 15 minutes. But let me just show you what he said about the mods. And then I'm going to show you something else that indicates, and I want proof. I want proof to see if Tektone actually pays his mods or not. I want proof.
Okay. Is it really that important? Just saying. I understand that there are some channels out there that do pay the mods. I know, like Cole Carnage, I think he pays his mods, you know. I think he does streams, doesn't he, each week where they're like literally all the donations go to the mods as well, which is brilliant. Brilliant. I understand moderating a big channel. It's a lot to do. You know, it's probably not a nice time. Like even like say when I used to stream on YouTube and I get 200 to 500 people watching, it was hard work for moderators in my chat sometimes because they had to deal with just absolute ridiculous idiots. I'm curious to see where he's going with this though. But the idea that they should be being paid, it depends whether that's something they're doing just for the fun of it, you know?
I want proof.
Oh, yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, boys, we're sponsored by Cash App, and you guys are going to go down.
And exactly, a lot of CCs don't pay the mods, and should they? It's not even a thing they should do. If there's an agreement made by a streamer where he's like, you know, we do a little vetting thing here. If you're good at what we need you to do, guess what? We're going to pay you a little bit of cash. You know, that's totally fair. If the streamer's making enough money to be able to pay moderators to deal with their chat, totally good transactional situation there. Totally fair with that. But for the most part, let's not pretend that most people who don't want to be stream mods and Discord mods want to do it because they're big fans, you know, so they're kind of getting a little power trip out of it quite a lot of the time.
Download it by clicking the link underneath.
Again, I remember this when I used to stream on YouTube. People would like the amount of, oh, can I be a mod? Can I be a mod? Can I be a mod? You know, they were just so desperate as if like, why? What's the point, man? Like, obviously some people probably because they wanted to fuck about with people. But I think some people just having that wrench next to the name, they was just like, hey, you know, one of the boys now. I'm one of the boys.
My stream. Okay? Yeah. Yep. And then mods, pin that shit. I don't know how to do it. Pin that to the top of my chat. Let me know when it's
and let's not pretend as well. I've seen a lot of people who've been moderators for larger streamers have gone on to have semi-decent or decent streaming careers themselves because they've become known within the community and they're, you know, they're doing favors for the streamer. They start streaming. People know them in the community. The streamer talks to them about streaming and hey, guess what? They're getting views because, you know, they're part of that community anyway.
Pin that to the top of my chat, and then mods, every 15 minutes or so, just type that again. Okay? Thank you.
So he says thank you, which is a nice, you know, salutation. And let's just kind of like go through this VOD here. We're gonna do it in pause
At
mode.
least in this video, he's not got something on his lip that's rolling around in his mouth, so that's good.
And see how long this Cash App thing's on the top right, right? So it looks like the Cash App thing was only on. Oh no, it's on the other side now. It's on the left side now.
Oh, so is he saying that he's doing sponsored streams specifically? So why sponsored streams specifically? You know, not that somebody like Tectone's size isn't making a shit ton of money off members, donos, and ad revenue anyway. Like when you get to that sort of size, you like I think at a few thousand viewers in a stream, if you're in a streaming for quite a while and you're running a normal set amount of ads, you're gonna make a few $100s easy. You know, at Tectone's level, I'd probably say to probably reach into over $1,000. So why specifically? Because he's getting paid by Cash App. Oh, well, that's it now. He's making more than $1,000 in advertisements and probably a couple of grand in memberships. He's potentially making an extra 10 grand this week.
It's hard to see, but it's technically still there, and it's being spammed in this chat every 15 minutes. Now it's on the right side. Now it's on the left side. It's still there this whole entire time. Oh, wait. Is it off now? It looks like it may be gone. So it might have been... So what are we at? 2 hours? It's still there 2 hours. So it looks like it was a 2-hour sponsor. Every 15 minutes. So these mods had to stay in this channel for at least 2 hours.
I don't think they had to stay in the channel. I've got a feeling they didn't. I don't think Tectone was like, you know, you don't fucking leave. You know, I'm pretty sure they were able to be like, I'm just going to bounce for a little bit, you know. I don't think they had to be there the entire time. You know, it probably helps him out if people are, but I'm pretty sure he's probably got enough mods that there's like kind of a rotating door where people drop in and out to chat kind of thing, you know.
That's 2 hours of employment. Let's say the base pay is $15 an hour, right? I don't know how it's paid. I don't know how mods do it. They're probably on a contract. Now,
what does this guy think modding in a stream is for the most part? Does he genuinely think that most people sign a contract when they become a mod on a channel? Like, when does this start? You know, what level does it start? Oh, that's it now. You've passed. Oh, what? You're getting 500 viewers a channel? That's all right. Free mods. Free mods. You got 700. Whoa. You need to start paying fucking your mods.
You might be saying, well, you know, they pay all their stuff. They do all their stuff. It's all fair and above board and all this stuff, right? Okay. Okay. You say that. As you can see here, a simple search on the, you know, Microsoft Bing. And I guess if you want me to be fully transparent, I can go to Google and do the same search over there. Twitch moderators, also known as mods, are typically unpaid volunteers. However, some streamers, especially those with high incomes and many viewers, may pay their mods. For example,
dude's gone to Google as if... Why? Why, dude? What? All right, let's carry on.
Ludwig
it's baffling my brain, man. This dude's baffling my brain.
5,000 per day during a 31-day subathon, right? That's just a period of time. It doesn't mean that that's what they're going to do every time, you know, that they're modding the channel. They may incentivize it every now and then. And this speaks...
Which, when you think about it, if you're going to get paid to watch a streamer who you're a fan of, to maybe type a few commands in chat every 15 minutes over the space of a couple of hours and delete a few comments, isn't that like the best job in the world? Isn't that even better than being the streamer almost? So the idea that that has to be a thing is like, dude, you're just literally hanging out in a stream you want to hang out in. Surely being a moderator for a lot of people, that's a good enough prize as it is. Me, never won it. I don't want to fucking mod in a chat. Like, fuck that. I just want to chill and hang out kind of thing, you know what I mean?
To this incessant need to have people help you for free.
Incessant need to have people help you. It kind of does help out a little bit when you've got a lot of people watching to have some moderators, you know? You don't have to have them, you know what I mean? You can attempt to mod the chat yourself. It's probably going to be a bit problematic, but it's a little like a bit of a, we're talking about parasocial things earlier. It's a bit of a parasocial relationship sometimes. You know, they're getting to be in your inner circle, so to speak, and a lot of them want that. And, you know, you can pay them if you want to. You don't have to. I understand it, but, you know, if everything was perfect, it'd be cool that you could afford to pay all your mods all the time to mod your chat. That would be a lovely space to be in, wouldn't it?
Tectone made $31,000 last month.
And a mod didn't get a single penny. This guy, man, this guy.
And that he has probably people he has to pay. You divvy that all up, taxes and everything else, even though he lives in Texas or, you know, he doesn't pay until the end of the year, whatever the case may be. I don't know how they do their itemizations. Probably has plenty of deductions as well. But that's how much he made in 1 month. How much of that, and it's none of our business. So clearly he doesn't have to say anything. That's much money as he made, and it's America. He can make as much money as he wants. You don't have to pay.
Why are we talking about it then, bro?
Anybody besides taxes. And he doesn't even have to pay those, apparently, because there's ways to do loopholes.
You know, Ludwig said he doesn't pay his mods. I'd imagine majority of people don't pay the mods. I should imagine just now and again they do nice, cool little things for the mods, don't they? You know? Like, I don't know. I don't know, but I would imagine that's how it kind of works. You know, they're getting to be in the inner circle. Like I said, there's probably some times where people, and I've seen it myself, moderators start to stream and they get their own little semi-successful career off being part of that community for so long and being such a big name in the community. They get the power trip sort of thing. You know, a lot of people do like that. That in itself is enough for a lot of people who are moderators. Christ, you've only got to look at the Discord moderator meme. We know what they ain't getting paid, but you know what they're doing here.
And his mods are potentially unpaid because they don't have to be paid. They don't have to be paid. And so you got this holier than thou mentality of these content creators.
Okay, dude is definitely isn't he? This dude he's just he's thinking like, right, who does drama? What space at the moment seems hot in drama? Who can I potentially attempt to farm? You know, I'm going to trigger people enough that they're going to want to watch my videos. Here we are. I'm not triggered. I'm just curious because it was kind of funny. But I don't think he's good at it. And, you know, he's good enough at it to do it. You know? He just makes himself look kind of fucking stupid.
Seriously, playing all these games free to play, who are taking all these sponsorship deals and all this stuff. And you have the modders sitting there for 8 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, helping them mod channels.
Yeah, I agree. If not paying editors, that's shady.
Helping them put up links for sponsors that obviously Tectone's getting paid for. And these moderators are free to play.
I know, man. If it weren't for them modders, there's no way Cash App would have sponsored his stream. You know? They only sponsored his stream because they was like, how many viewers has he got? 9,000. Has he got any mods? Pfft, we ain't sponsoring him. He's got no mods. Come on, bro. We only sponsor modded channels.
And these moderators are just volunteer? It makes no absolute sense to me.
Yeah, pretty much. They're volunteering to be moderators. You know, it didn't like Tectone went through the chat and went, you can't stay unless you fucking mod my channel and you're not getting paid either.
And anybody who justifies this, anybody who rationalizes this, clearly is only saying it because they're biased.
Oh, that's it, man.
If
dick riding.
We are suggesting...
Glazing Tectone, man. That's what it is, you know. I'm just dick riding Tectone, you know. Bald man good, you know. Ah, that's what it is.
That all content creators should be paid, which is what I am. Then the editor should be paid. The moderator should be paid. Anybody...
As somebody who really doesn't get many views, I'd say that's arguable. You know, I think you're barely a content creator. You're a talking head, really. Well, I can't say nothing. I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm creatively devoid. I admit it. I'm here for the farming.
That brings them anything during their course of business that is not just a friendly gesture should be paid. Because it's all in the course of business, just like it would be in an office, just like it would be in any other sector of society. You pay for the services that you actually request or are rendered. Moderators. And this is part of the ecosystem that has constantly gone under scrutinized. Because anytime there's this...
Well, if that's the case and that's the way it should be, then his argument should be, if he believes this, his argument really should be that the sites themselves, which are the publishers, and they act in an editorial sense as well because they have terms of service, they should pay people who moderate people's chats. And I don't mean just in the terms of how they do sometimes, you know, where Twitch staff can come in and actually do stuff sometimes. I mean, a channel gets to a set size and there's so many moderators who are employed to moderate that person's chat. they speak to the streamer and they kind of get the idea of like how the what is it they want, how do they want me to moderate chat, what's the culture here, how do I go about it, as long as I'm within the terms of service, and they actually get paid by Twitch to do it. You know, the idea that this is something that's totally on the streamer and it's not just a, you know, a light thing of, you know, somebody can maybe ban somebody on the streamer's behalf here and there and maybe post a link now and again. Let's not pretend that even in massive streams that people aren't there all day like, fucking, take the fucking kids outside, I'm modding in Tectone's chats. I can't answer the phone right now. I've got bills to pay, but I'm fucking modding Tectone's chat. Like, it's not happening, is it? You know what I mean? That's not happening. It's somebody's there just playing video games, being like, oh, what's that dude said in his chat? Let me just quickly ban him. Oh, I just need to quickly post a link. Sweet, there we go. Back to my game, you know?
Unregulated industry, people flock to it and get as much money as they can until it becomes regulated, until it becomes so overly expensive, they just leave. Never actually paying their dues, never actually living up to the responsibility that they suggest that they can adhere to. Hypocrite.
What's he talking about? When was this agreement made? Like, this dude's talking about some agreement that was never made. You know, like, as if streamers, the second you start streaming, you've agreed that if you ever get a mod, you got to pay that fucker. When did this happen, man? I don't remember this.
Critical. Selfish, greedy tactics, no different than Bobby Kotick. And each time you leech off of these moderators and you don't pay them, it's no different than being a succubi. Why do I have to keep on reiterating it? Why do I have to keep on making this point over and 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 over?
I think it's because it's a bad point and people are not interested in it, bro. That's what I think.
And over and over and over and over and over again is because these people are not who they say they are. Prove it, Tectone. Prove that you pay all your moderators. Prove it, and I will shut the fuck up. And I
did Tectone ever like say he pays his moderators? Like, obviously, he's just trying to leech off Tectone at this point. He talks about leeches. This is literally what this dude's trying to do. Has Tectone ever said like, well, you know, we got a Boogie situation here where like Boogie was like, oh, I got cancer. Well, I actually haven't, but you know, I have. You know, the only time this argument would make sense for me personally, if Tectone had turned around and go, I pay all my moderators, but then he actually doesn't, because then he's like, well, okay, the dude's just lying, you know? He's saying he's doing something that there's no written contract that he has to do or even needs to do on an, you know, on a more, casual kind of way. Brain stopped then. It's just like, boom, boom, switched off for a second. I was just like, go. You know, so like, I don't understand, you know, I think he's just like, so, Tectone, big streamer, a lot of viewers. I'll play gacha games, right? Let me make a video about him and try and trigger him to watch my videos because he knows Tectone reacts to pretty much everything.
I will make an apology video and say, you know what? Everybody else may not pay their moderators, but damn well Tectone does.
Why is he picking and singling out Tectone? Like, I know Tectone doesn't need defending at all. Dude's got beef with Tectone for some reason.
Prove it. Otherwise, you are a hypocrite. You are a greedy.
Wait, that's not how, yeah, okay. That's not what being a hypocrite is. Saying people should pay the moderators and then not paying your moderators while making a lot of money. That's being a hypocrite. Just streaming and doing your thing and getting paid and never mentioning your moderators. And then some dude comes along and goes, hey, you're a hypocrite. Does that work?
Selfish, narcissistic tendency person that only thinks for himself. And therefore, you're no different than Bobby Kotick. And I guess you could be considered
this dude's trolling.
Potentially something else, which I will not say again.
This dude's
My name is Bazookas. Goodbye.
This dude's trolling, man. He's got to be trolling, bro. Got to be trolling. Not even an entertaining troll, though. Get this fraud cheapskate mods, run that channel, not Tectone. Quick question. Why do you lump all content creators under one label and accuse everyone of abuse without any, and I mean any evidence? Also, isn't this twisted? If you accuse someone of wrongdoing, shouldn't you be the one to provide evidence? Yeah, I can't be asked to read all that. This guy probably goes to a McDonald's drive-thru to complain about Tectone. Man, this is just sad. Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order? Yeah, yo, Tectone's a prick. Absolute hypocrite, deplorable. Sir, this is McDonald's. Yeah, I'll have a Big Mac and fries. And I just want to say that I'm sick and tired of Tectone. Should moderators be paid during sponsored streams? Apparently not. Apparently not. You know, apparently not. Interesting. Holy shit, bro. I mean, that's in my sub box. Oh my god, dude. I'm a degenerate. Absolutely disgusting. Wild. Funny though. I love it. I love that sort of shit. It's funny, man. You know? Yo, did you see fucking Boogie having an absolute meltdown on the Lolco Live podcast? Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Go fuck yourself. I will divulge no more medical information to any of you motherfuckers. I'm so happy. I hate this. I hate it.
This podcast yesterday was absolutely peak cinema.
I hate this show. I hate fucking breathing air. I hate being alive. I'm in so much fucking pain. I can't fucking stand it anymore. I can't fucking stand this. I can't fucking stand it.
Peak. You should check it out. It was fucking hilarious. Hilarious. Boogie has gone from lolcodom to, if that's even a word, to absolute... I don't even know what the word is, if I'm honest. I think he's figured out as well, though, now, that at the moment, people have been really... And he's known this for a long time. Boogie loves to pretend to be totally... well, he's intellectually dishonest. He pretends he doesn't understand how people are responding to his reactions. And he was freaking out in that stream to a point where, like, it was all just fake. He was, you know, he hides behind this idea of, like, he's dissociating. Somebody asked him if he was disassociating, and he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, people who are disassociating tend to not really respond to, are you disassociating? Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Unbelievable, man. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. He did a crypto, advertised a crypto rug pull, pretty much. You know, lied about the cancer. That whole situation was wild. I've been invested in that arc recently. I've been invested in that arc. We might have to watch some stuff on that one of the days, because it's you know, it's been cinema, absolute cinema. As somebody who like watched Wings of Redemption back in the day, like I used to watch Wings of Redemption. Like, I'm talking like OG COD days before Wings become like a meme. And he just made World at War videos and stuff. Wings was looking like the sensible, level-headed guy on the podcast, and now this is coming from somebody who I will tune into Wings streams now and again, because I just think Wings is entertaining. He's entertaining because like he like lacks self-awareness sometimes, you know what I mean? But I don't think Wings is a bad person. I just think he says dumb shit sometimes, and he does kind of treat people kind of like shitty, like in his games and stuff. He does. He definitely does. But like Boogie's levels of like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Escapades of recent have just made him look like a saint almost. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was like 20,000 plus people in that stream yesterday. Mudaha was in there. Mr. Medico was in there. It was funny, man. It was funny. Dark and sad, because everything about Boogie is dark and sad, but also kind of like weirdly funny at the same time. It was crazy. Yeah, it is, man. He's a piece of shit. He's an absolute piece of shit. It's a car wreck. That's what he is. He's a car wreck. You know, like how a car wreck is like, it's bad, it's horrible, it's ugly, it's nasty, but you can't help but just like slow down to be like, holy shit, dude. Right, we were supposed to be playing some Wuthering Waves today, chat, but we ain't gonna get time to because it's 4:20. And I gotta get Rosie in a bit. Yeah. I think oh, what's this here? Maybe we'll watch this a little bit later. Another video from Kazahana.
So it happened again.
The Genshin community ruined this company again. Let's tap that into the watch later. We'll watch that when we come back a little bit later because Rosie's going to the gym with my sister after work. So I'll be alive again this evening. And the Throne and Liberty bait has been extended as well. So probably what we'll come do, we'll probably play a bit of Zenless, a bit of Wuthering Waves, get some dailies done, and then maybe jump on some Throne and Liberty for an hour or two. Watch some videos as well, laugh at some funny stuff and react to some shit, you know, maybe some gacha shit as well. Oh, quick, you know, plug, you know, gotta get the plug in there, guys. Check out the YouTube channel, you know. Appreciate anybody wanting to go over and watch any of the videos. They've been doing really well for me recently, you know. Obviously, this is small number amount of views usually typically for people, and you know, some get more than others, but I'm really happy with it, man. People seem to have been enjoying the videos, and I've been enjoying making them because, like I say, I lack any creativeness, and doing any editing off stream and making videos is a pain in the arse. So do you know what's easier? Just reacting to stuff on stream while I'm playing video games sometimes and uploading it, you know. Yes, I did, yeah. 22 pulls in as well. Great. I was saying earlier, it's just because I'm really good at the game, that's why, you know. It's a shame that not everybody can be that good, but, you know, it's just skills I was born with, like, you know what I mean? All right, then. Chat. Everybody, I do appreciate you hanging out today. I've had an absolute blast. It's been a pleasure. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I will be live again later on, like I say. It's probably be around about 6:30, 7 p.m. UK time. If you want to come and get, you're more than welcome to. If I don't see you tomorrow, I mean, later, maybe I'll see you tomorrow. And, yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you all in a little bit. All right, guys? See you later. Ta-ra.